All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Twidwell.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Patrick freaking Mahomes, baby!
Let's talk some sports, because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to The Spoken.
This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, here inside the 𝚂𝙿𝙀 Media Studios with my guy, Trevor Twidwell.
What's good?
Episode 269 is in full swing, full motion. We're so happy to be with you. We're so happy to be back. Hope you all missed us, because we sure as hell missed you guys. We had 1 week off. We don't do that very often. We usually keep it pretty tidy around here. We try to go for all 52 weeks of the year, but every once in a while, man, we got to recharge, replug, get everything back into normal, guys, into normalcy. We are back. We're hopefully you guys missed us. Like I said, we're so happy to be with you and for you to be with us, whether you're live streaming, podcasting, or YouTubing. We thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. And this time, Trevor, what is going on, my man?
No, I was just saying, our guy Dustin Norton already in the chat saying it felt fucking weird last week.
Good to have you back, Dustin. Good to have all you guys back. We'll be giving you guys a shout out throughout the entire show. We appreciate everybody that joins the chat every single week. We love the fact that the Chiefs community in particular has given us so much love over these last several months. When we started to open up the chat more, get a little bit more interactive, we decided that it's time to start giving you guys more of a platform, because that is what the origin of the Spoken is anyway. We might as well keep it on brand. But like I tell you guys at the top of every single show, I'll say at the bottom of every single show, go to our YouTube channel if you guys can, man. We're really trying to grow this thing as much as we can. We're almost to 500 subscribers right now. I know that's not a lot to a lot of people. That's a lot to us. So it matters a lot to us. It means a lot to us. If you guys can go to youtube.com, hit the Spoken Podcast, and subscribe, share, like, notify, all those things. Those are all very important. But we also know that the most important part of all of it is for you to join the community, and the way you do that best, after getting all those things out of the way, is you join the comments, because we have a segment what we call Speak It. Whatever question, take, comment, question, concern, all those cool things, dip, dive, dodge, and dodge, like Dodgeball said. Whatever you guys have for us today, we want you to bring it to us so we can talk about it, give you guys our immediate and honest feedback, and we want to get your guys' feedback on what we have to say as well. It's an opinion-based show, guys. We're not here just to relay news. We're here to give you guys our take on what the news is. And this week, there is some news to be had, and that is why we are having a show this week. Last week, we decided it was a good time for us to kind of just take that week, kind of like I said, recharge, get some things reconstructed. You know, we're still building up on our studio. We're still doing a lot of things on this show, but also in our personal lives as well. So this is a time where we're definitely going to jump back into things. We're really excited about it. I want to give you guys an announcement as well. I told Trevor about this last week. So a lot of you guys that follow 𝚂𝙿𝙀 Media as a whole, you guys know that we have a lot of things going on. You guys know that this year I joined Arrowhead Allies with Clint Switzer, Noah Groniger, Shaggy Shane, and Brian B. Shine. And we always have great guests on that show. We always have great times on that show. It's on Tuesday nights. We've had Rich Baldinger. We've had Reggie Tongue on recently, one of my favorite all-time Chiefs. We've had some great conversations, and that show's been going great. You guys also know that this last season, Trevor and I did a show with former Chief Von Booker, chatting of the Chiefs postgame show. Had a lot of fun doing that last year. We're really excited. We were really excited about doing it. Took on the challenge, had a blast every single week, win or loss. Trevor Book and I had a great time, and we don't regret doing that at all. It is a bittersweet announcement to make, though, guys, and I appreciate that Noah and Clint let us have this platform to do it. Trevor and I actually will not be doing that show this year. It was a one-year thing. We very much loved it and appreciate it. We don't regret it at all, but we have a great show that will be succeeding us with Shaggy Shane and former Chief Harvey Williams. They will be doing their own post-game show instead of our post-game show. So please, if you guys could, still support it. Whenever the Chiefs games are done, go to 𝚂𝙿𝙀 Media. You will see them go live, and I promise you those two OGs right there will give you guys the insight that you are looking for. Like I said, whether it's a win or a loss, you're going to want to tune in immediately to 𝚂𝙿𝙀 Media, and you're going to want to let Shaggy Shane and Harvey Williams lead you to way in there. And obviously, give them your frustrations or give them your excitement like you did ours last year. We had a blast talking with you guys. We met so many of you guys through that chat. Give them that same opportunity as well, because I promise you they will not let you guys down, and we're really excited to see what they do with that. But I wanted to put that out there first and foremost. And again, we're really excited to be back here because, Trev, It's felt like a long time since we've been on the show, man. I was afraid we were going to be a little rusty. Shit, we might be, but I don't feel like it's so far. How have things been going for you the last couple of weeks, man, since the people last saw you?
Oh man, I mean, busy. Obviously, work is always busy. Life is busy. Being a dad of two, so I have, my time's flying by. The week we took off didn't feel like too much of a week off. We were busy with the kids and doing stuff for Memorial Day weekend, and but I have this whole next week off of work, so I have vacation time. My birthday is in a couple days, so taking some nice. Some time off here, man. So I'm looking forward to that. This is a good way to start it.
Yeah, happy early birthday to Trevor. He's turning 69 this week, guys. Old as fuck.
Moisturized, guys. That's the secret.
Cocaine and moisturized. That's the way. That's the secret to life and staying young.
And whiskey.
And weed. All those words that start with WH. We highly recommend. Anyway, we have a great show for you guys today, and I hope you guys are excited about it. I'm very excited about it because there are things that we need to talk about when it comes to your Chiefs. Trevor, it is time for Lance Rants.
Gotta scream! Yeah! We've got corrosion! From out to the new beat!
I know that the most polarizing position on this team continues to be wide receiver. You guys know that this is something I've been harping on for many years now about how I see the wide receiver room and how it needs to be. A lot of you disagree. A lot of you agree. It's a very back and forth conversation. I think it's not going anywhere anytime soon because of the way that Brett Veach has built this thing to this point. But there is one bright side that I have been continuously hammering the point home on, and who I want to see make this team, who I believe is going to make this team, because I believe this guy will be an absolute difference maker in this offense. And that is one, Nico Remigio. I know a lot of you guys probably are not familiar with Nico Remigio, and that's understandable. He was an undrafted free agent. He was a guy that not a lot of people really knew about. In fact, I'll give credit to where credit is due. Our guy from Chief Concerns podcast, Marcus Dash, was the first one to told me, hey, pay attention to this guy. I watched him in college. This dude's got punt, kick returning ability, but he's also a good route runner. He's got good hands. He's undersized, but this is the kind of guy that I think that Andy Reid could fall in love with in this offense. And last offseason, we saw in when training camp came about that there was this number 27 kid on the offensive side of things that just kept showing and oohing and on. And even our guys that all chiefed up, the Williams brothers, were saying the same thing. They felt like there was just something special about this kid. He doesn't jump off the line when it comes to the RAS scores, things of that nature. He doesn't really show you a lot of great athleticism. And like I said, he's undersized by nature, so naturally he's going to be unimpressive in that regard, just from the looks of things. But what he does on the field when given the opportunity is nothing short of incredible to my eyes. And maybe I'm overhyping him a little bit because we've yet to see him in real game action at the NFL level. But I have the same kind of feeling for him as a lot of Chiefs fans have had for Justin Ross. Biggest reason why is because I think he can be an effective player in this offense because he has what it takes. He has what it takes to be a good wide receiver in this offense. What do we always talk about, Trevor, when it comes to wide receiver in this offense? I would love the Chiefs to have a load of Hall of Famers. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you want to have as many great receivers as possible. But if you have to just say, hey, listen, we're going to save money and we're going to spend it elsewhere and we're going to get Patrick Mahomes 1 to 2 guys that are just very reliable at catching the ball, running the routes specifically, and can be physical at times. Those are the guys that Patrick Mahomes will win Super Bowls with. Those are the guys that Patrick Mahomes has won Super Bowls with. Patrick Mahomes has won more Super Bowls without Tyreek Hill than with Tyreek Hill, even though he's only played 2 seasons without Tyreek Hill and played 4 with Tyreek Hill. So we know that having Hall of Fame talent, superstar talent makes things easier, but we have now seen it proven time and time again, back-to-back seasons. Patrick Mahomes doesn't have to have Tyreek Hill type of guys to win. Just have to have reliable assets. I don't think Nico Remigio will ever be anything close to what Tyreek Hill is or ever was. But what I do believe is that Nico Remigio can be a guy that can be reliable in this offense because of everything he's shown me so far in his early career. 24 years old, and I think that last season he was on his way to making this roster. Unfortunately, had that bad shoulder injury in practice, in training camp. And most of the time when that happens to undrafted free agents, the teams just let him go.
Yeah.
They're like, you know what, man, best of luck to you. Hopefully you go find another landing spot. We'll see you later. But the Chiefs held on to him. They stashed him in their IR. Now, you could say, well, he's a camp body, so who cares? But I think the Chiefs do. I think the Chiefs kept him for a particular reason because they kept 7 receivers on their roster and still stashed this kid. So they obviously saw something in Nico Remigio, something similar that I think I saw in him early and often as well. And kids, the cup runneth over. Let me just tell you right now, because it's starting to expound now. There's now becoming reports of Nico Remigio. What do I mean by this? Well, let's go ahead and Trevor pull up that. This is from The Heavy. I don't know if you guys have seen this article or not. I highly recommend you read the whole article. I'm going to read the first little part, and then Trevor's going to push this up. But yeah, go ahead and leave it up there. But this is the beginning, and I'll lead into where the article has on this clip. In 2023, the Kansas City Chiefs looked as if they found a sleeper wide receiver returner and undrafted prospect Nico Remigio. Unfortunately, the intriguing 24-year-old dislocated his shoulder during a preseason outing and spent the entirety of his rookie campaign in the injured reserve. Now he's healthy again, and it appears that Remigio has picked back up where he left off last spring and summer. Now this is where it comes in. Quote, Matt Nagy called Nico Remigio a true professional. Simply says he needs to keep doing what he's doing right now, end quote. Arrowhead Pride beat reporter Pete Sweeney relayed live from OTAs on May 30th. Quote, in our look, Remigio did stand out once again, trying again this year to break the 53-man roster. Later, Sweeney followed up with some context for KC fans on X. Quote, looking back at my notes from today's look, I counted 4 completions from Patrick Mahomes to wide receiver Nico Remigio. The veteran media member stated, adding, quote, Chiefs OC Matt Nagy says he's high on the 2023 undrafted free agent, end quote. A good sign that the former undrafted free agent will once again be in the mix for a roster spot in 2024. So I want to stop there just for a second because, again, I don't think the Chiefs are the type of team that says things like this unless there's an absolute plot and plan in place. They say these types of things about any type of player or any type of magnitude for 2 reasons. One, it's because they truly believe this guy is going to be an asset to this team and they're not lying to you. Or 2, they're looking to move off of him and they're going to continue to try to up his trade value. I don't think Nico Remigio is a trade asset. I think Nico Remigio is a guy that the Chiefs legitimately do like in this offense, and I do believe will play his part in this offense this season. Why do I believe that? Because Matt Nagy said so. I know that sounds very simplistic. I know that sounds like I'm just taking the coaches for what they're saying, but guys, I'm seeing it with my own eyes. We talk about the eye test so much. People talk about, well, I know the stats aren't there, but I saw this guy on the court. I saw this guy on the field, and I know he's got it. That's how I feel about Nico right now. And it's the same thing. And again, I try to relate to the Justin Ross truthers. We yet to see this guy play in a real game, and then you see him in training camp, you're like, dude, this kid's got something. And he does. The difference is Justin Ross has a 6'4" frame, so that gives him a little bit more of an advantage. So you have to think about how much more impressive a guy like Nico Remigio has to be.
5'9", 5'10".
Yeah, who's, half a foot, if not further, shorter than Justin Ross, to be able to go out there and get the kind of notoriety and credibility from his coaching staff that he is.
Yeah.
Like, these are real things, guys. And I think what Nico Remigio is doing initially is he's starting this off as, I'm going to be the competition for Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney for a roster spot. Yes, I mean that. I really believe that I think Nico Remigio could be the difference between Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney being on this team. Why? Well, he has kick return, punt return abilities. That's where he's naturally from. And he's a guy, like I said, that can actually catch the damn ball and run his routes correctly. Those are 2 things that Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore clearly deal with. And Nico Remigio right here, says right here in this article, as you continue down the heavy, Nico Remigio's rise could be bad news for Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney. Last summer, injuries narrowed the training camp battle at wide receiver. This year, Rashee Rice's legal issues, and I'll get to the Heralds in a second. This year, Rashee Rice's legal issues could do the same, freeing up an extra spot for a player like Remigio. For the time being, however, let's operate as if Rice will be make the initial 53-man roster, which would likely only change if he's placed on the commissioner's exempt list or suspended. So in other words, guys, we're looking at 3 guys right now. There's a little love triangle, if you will, that's going on for a roster spot. I think it's safe to say Rashee Rice is going to make this team, unless he has some unforeseen belligerent breakdown again off the field where the Chiefs have no other choice. Rashee Rice is making this team. Will he be on the team for all 17 games? No. He will be getting suspended. How long? We'll see when that comes down. But I do expect that Rashee Rice will make this roster. And then, like I said, it continues about Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore, who the Chiefs, put a lot of stake in 2022. Both of these guys. Neither have consistently performed in Kansas City, but potential alone gives them the leg up on a player like Remigio, Justin Ross, or Montrell Washington. Nothing is ever off the table for a franchise like the Chiefs, but it feels unlikely that both Moore and Toney will be cut. Of course, if a trade were to emerge, that could be that could alter this outlook. I think what also could alter this outlook is if Remigio goes out there and does the things that Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore simply have not been able to do to this point of their career.
Catch the goddamn ball.
Catch the damn ball, run your routes correctly. And I don't know, Trevor, how about show up to OTAs? Let's go ahead and pull up what Harold Kuntz, our brother Harold Kuntz, said this week when it came to our guy Nico Remigio. This general reports, actually. Harold Kuntz said a few observations from OTA practice. First thing he says out the gate, Nico Remigio with a good practice. Pacheco with some friendly trash talk with DBs and 7-on-7. Love to hear that. A couple deep throws to Sky Moore didn't connect. Imagine that. Rooks in secondary with a learning curve. That's also to be expected. And then Luis Ríos-Zammit and Justin Reed practicing kickoffs. That's going to be another fun topic we can talk about as the summer goes on. I do expect that we will be seeing Justin Reed with the kickoffs. I do think
Andy Reid having fun shit right there.
Yeah, and just with the new rules are going to be coming in play, I do think that's going to be something they do let Justin Reed do, or Zammit. I think one of those guys will be doing that.
They can make tackles.
But you notice that they didn't talk about a particular player because that particular player wasn't there. And this now is a rising question for the coaching staff. And Nagy, who's obviously been vocal as the OC of the team, mentioned, he's singing praise about Nico Remigio and what he's seeing from this kid. And then he's asked a question. This is from our guys at All Chiefed Up. This is the quote this last week on the presser when Nagy was asked the question about Kadarius Toney. He said, quote, "The biggest thing is making sure he understands the foundation mentally of where to line up. Make the simple plays be simple. He's so talented. As coaches, put him in the right spot," end quote.
The simple things.
This quote would be acceptable to me, Trevor, if we were talking about a rookie.
Yeah.
Not a guy coming into his fourth NFL season and the third with the Chiefs.
The wide receiver 1, man.
Especially a guy who should be putting his best foot forward by being out there every available practice to put that horrendous 2022-23 season behind him. But no. Kadarius Toney is nowhere to be found. As I said on Twitter this week, I'll say it here on the show, Trevor, and I want to stay positive on the show as much as I can, but I can't help but say it. I honestly don't know why the Chiefs continue to put up with Kadarius Toney's bullshit. Dude was horrendous on and off the field last season. Horrendous. Dropped a league high, I think it was over 10 years league high, of 13.1% of his targets. Not only terrible on the field, costing the Chiefs multiple games, but then try to call he didn't try. He did call the Chiefs liars when they put him on the shelf and said he wasn't really injured. Then was a healthy scratch in the Super Bowl, a team that had one of the 2 to 3 worst wide receiver rooms, if not the worst wide receiver room in the entire NFL. And he was a healthy scratch. And now, he's not showing up to OTAs. And people tell me, well, Lance, it's voluntary. It's just OTAs. Who gives a shit?
Maybe he's having another kid or something.
Hey, Trev, who are the 2 best players on the Chiefs offense?
Who are the 2 best players? That'd be Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. Who are at OTAs?
Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes.
Who doesn't need OTAs?
Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes.
And who does need OTAs?
Every fucking buddy else.
Exactly. Where's Kadarius Toney? Sure. Maybe it is something, an emergency. Maybe it is. We don't know. What I do know is he's not there, and he's a guy that needs to be there. He needs to be at every... Because what were we hearing all last offseason, Trevor? We saw him in Texas, sweating his ass off running those sharp routes. Everyone's like, oh, shit! Here comes Kadarius.
Yep.
Uh-oh. He's dedicated. So why can't we keep the same energy when he's not there? Especially when you had a season as bad as he did. Of all the receivers on this roster that should be at OTAs, all the receivers that should be at every practice they have. I'm talking about the simple lineup 7-on-7s to OTAs to training camp to pregame snaps. Who needs more than anybody else? Kadarius Toney needs more than Xavier Worthy does. I'm not kidding. Because I have more faith in Xavier Worthy as a rookie than I do in Kadarius Toney. Because I at least know that Xavier Worthy has potential still.
Yeah.
I don't have any faith in Kadarius Toney at this point. And I think, as our guy Shaggy Shane said on this very show, Trevor, he told us he thinks it's going to be like a Breland Speaks situation where you kind of just hang on tight, and at the very end of training camp, it's, oh, he got cut. Because you don't want to, because we knew that Breland Speaks was Brett Veach's first pick. If he ties them too quickly, it looks bad on Brett Veach.
Sure.
So if he cuts ties with Kadarius kind of the tail end of training camp this year, it'll be a big story, but it'll be more understandable, and I think people will digest it better because, like, well, that's his third stinking season with the Chiefs, and he's still not getting it. I mean, we're kind of on, and then Brett Veach starts to look like the good guy because he did something that people have been clamoring for, like we've been doing on this show. I know you still have faith in Kadarius Toney, Char, at least to some degree.
His talent, yes, for sure.
But in my opinion, man, I just with this absence, I think it speaks volumes to where he's at. I don't want to speak for what's going on in his life because I don't know. But if everything is all the same, if there's nothing tragic going on in his life, there's no excuse why he's not there. So, in my opinion, I think you should get rid of the distraction. Because right now, Trevor, Kadarius Toney is far more of a distraction than he is a football player for this team. What are your thoughts?
Well, Omar, I just want to say this. Omar commented and said $2.5 million is the reason. The reason he's still in the roster.
No, Omar.
I figured you want to say something to that.
No, Omar, thank you for saying that. I appreciate the chiming in, brother, but I have to respond to that. Yeah. They cut Kadarius Toney. They don't owe him any money. That's not getting. There's no dead cap. He has no dead money.
Yeah.
They cut him. They don't owe him that $2.5 million. So that's not guaranteed money. That's why I was saying, guys, earlier in the year, cut Kadarius Toney, cut Justin Watson, guys like that, and open up some space for guys like OBJ and guys that are a little bit more talented, more veteran presence guys, because they're not going to cost you money. Either way you look at it, whether you're getting rid of a guy or adding a guy, those guys aren't going to cost you money. Look at what OBJ just got with the Dolphins. That's next to no money.
Yeah.
Look what what's his name, Trevor, that just went from the Jaguars to Zay Jones. Look what Zay Jones got, next to nothing. Now, you cut Kadarius Toney, you're saving that 2.5. You're not losing that 2.5. Go look this up at Spot Rack. You guys can find it yourself. There's no dead money to Kadarius Toney anymore, guys. He's not a guy you keep because of the money. If anything, you cut him because of the money. That's the way I see it. So I appreciate it, Omar, but that's where his contract sits, brother. So back to you, Trevor. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I just wanted to get that out there, just to clarify that. But listen, I don't know. I don't know why he's not. I mean, I agree. You don't have to be at OTAs. I get that, but this is a team. The context matters for what this team and the situation that we're going into this next season. We've been public enemy number one for a couple of years in a row, and we've still managed to win Super Bowls those 2 years in a row, and we're looking to try to make history with the third in a row. So we need all hands on deck. We need all the troops to be all locked in, and when you got guys like Remigio out here, making a stir, and standing out at OTAs. Granted, it is OTAs, and a lot of guys tend to stand out at OTAs that we forget about the next following season. That happens too, but I don't think that's the case with Remigio. But I don't know why Kadarius isn't here. Like you said, if it's a bad look on top of a bad look with him, he continues to rack up, the wrong kind of attention on his side when he needs to be the humble one and really, kind of, small himself a little bit. I feel like he still thinks he's a little better and has more leverage than he does, it seems. But then again, I don't know what his personal situation is. I don't know why he's not at OTAs. I don't know what his reasoning would be. It could be warranted for all I know. I don't know. But for football reasons, for football purposes, from a fan's perspective, it definitely doesn't look good for him. When you got the likes of Travis Kelce out there running routes and getting sweaty and, running around with the youngins and everybody else going out there putting in work and earning their stripes voluntarily, OTAs, it does matter, man. Regardless of what people think. Some people think, since it's voluntary, it doesn't matter. This is, the off-season camp stuff with Mahomes. Everyone gloats about all that. Out there, you got guys out there in Texas running routes with Mahomes and, getting their reps in with him and getting their timing and chemistry down. That's voluntary as well, right? But everyone loves those, but everyone kind of dismisses if someone's not at OTAs. Oh, it's voluntary. It still matters, guys. Like this still shows your true character in a lot of ways. Some guys have obviously real life reasons not to be there. But I don't know, man. Like I'm a believer in the talent of 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 𝙺 for sure. I think he definitely has the talent to be a really good weapon in the NFL, especially in this offense with this quarterback. But yeah, this is a bad look. I mean, there's no way to dance around this. There's no way to sugar this one up, especially with no reports of why he's not there.
Right.
So hopefully he does show up, and if he doesn't show up, hopefully he shows out when he does show up, and things start to look really good on his end, and he looks like he's more sharp and ready to go. But if need be, and they need to cut him, like I've always said on this show, man, I'm a fan of this team before I'm a fan of these players. To be honest with you, that's just where I stand. I want this team to succeed. Players come and go, and it is what it is. I love certain players, obviously, but at the end of the day, I want this team to succeed, no matter what the name on the jersey is. If there's a better man for the job, I want that man on the field, right? So if that happens to be Remigio, or if that happens to be a Justin Ross, or if it happens to be one of these guys that slides in and takes that those reps from 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 𝙺 or Sky Moore, so be it. I want to win. Even if it's Justin Watson, I don't give a shit who it is. If they're out there performing at a higher level and they're actually wanting to be a part of this team and try to make history here, then that's who I want on the field. So as far as where I'm at, man, that's where I'm at. You know what I mean? So I don't know why he's not there. I would much rather it be a much better look for him, especially with the offseason he had, and like you said, being a healthy scratch in the Super Bowl in the postseason. You think he'd want to be a part of this to really redeem himself on the field and off the field. So it's the fact that he's seemingly not putting in that effort right now is a bad look.
It's a bad look for sure, man. Especially like you said, Trevor, when the team has the standard that it has, the expectations that they have, you want everybody to be on the same page. You want everybody to be with the same mentality. And I do question whether 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 𝙺 has that mentality with the rest of the team. And the biggest reason why, that matters to me, this situation matters to me, is because the national media also, and we can ignore the national media, but we do know that a lot of people pay attention to what is said, and a lot of false narratives get put out there. And when things like this happen, or with Rashid's situation, or just whatever, the confusing things that have been going on in the last couple of off seasons for the Chiefs, it feels like no matter what, they always have these weird ass off seasons. Trevor, we've talked about it, but it'd be just nice to have one off season where it's just not wild, and
it's worked out for us in a weird way. But yeah, I mean, we tend to overcome it. But yeah.
Well, it's never been a problem to like overcome, because like even like the Patriots dynasty, you had Aaron Hernandez, you had all the Gates,
cheating scandals, yeah,
all that stuff, and then they still were winning titles. So you keep the main thing when you have to go between the lines, and then you'll be fine. But what happens is a lot of times I think people are starting to now. We know that the Chiefs are going to be a hated team. We know that people are sick of seeing them win. But what I'm finding funny is that they're using these types of situations, or the schedule, or whatever the case is, to now basically downplay even the opportunity of the Chiefs even being able to accomplish what they're set out to accomplish, which is to become the first team ever to three-peat as Super Bowl champions. We had the talking muskrat, Jason McIntyre, on the Herd. He was hosting the show for Colin when he was off
for some reason
this last week. Yeah, and this is a little clip that I had to share with you guys. It went all over Twitter once I posted it, but I'll put it on the show for those of you that weren't on there to see this. This is Jason McIntyre talking about the Chiefs and their potential of three-peating this season.
Patrick Mahomes was talking about Kansas City's schedule this week, something I've banged on this show. Listen, I'm not going to just hammer away at the Chiefs left and right, okay? I'm going to poke some holes in the team that's on top, okay? They did win the Super Bowl back-to-back years. I've gone on record, there's no chance that they're going to go three-peat. Absolutely none. And I can see them slipping up here, struggling a bit like they did last year. The schedule is brutal.
Yep. So, talking ferret, Jason McIntyre.
Every year, man.
Put that out there. There's no way now that you're Chiefs guys. So, you might as well just not watch football this season.
Yeah.
Don't even turn on the TV because there's no chance that the Chiefs can actually win the Super Bowl this year. I'm actually Trev, I just looked at it. The Chiefs have the second best odds to win the Super Bowl this year.
Okay.
That's weird.
Well, Jason.
So how do you go from not having a chance, and there's no way, to currently having the second best odds?
He needs to get with Vegas and
That's
figure
weird.
something out. Find a middle ground there.
Kind of find that odd. Yeah. But no, I wanted to briefly touch on this, not because I want to give Jason McIntyre any of our time, because, look, I'm going to be honest with you guys. It's okay to not pick the Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. You know, I know our guy Nick Wright always thinks it's just totally apprehensible to ever consider anybody else as the Super Bowl champion. You pick another team, that's fine. If you don't think the Chiefs are going to three-peat, that's okay.
Sure.
Let's just make that clear. There's 32 teams in the NFL, guys. Like, the Chiefs have second best odds, but it's still in the 40s. Like, we're talking like 40% chance, 42% chance to win the Super Bowl. That's still below 50% chance. So the odds are actually stacked against the Chiefs technically, but they have better odds than a lot of other teams because of what they've done, who they got. But again, I'm not opposed to the idea of someone else winning the Super Bowl this year. I'm not. There's other worthy opponents out there that can find a way to win the Super Bowl. It's not impossible for that to take place.
Right.
My problem is when you make a take like this, when you say there's no way the Chiefs can win,
An absolute.
that's first of all a non-starter because that's just not true. There's not just a way the Chiefs can win. There's actually a very good chance they do. But when you also say that, but don't follow it up with because I think these guys got it, or I think these group of teams are going to take the Chiefs down. That would be you know what? Honestly, as much as I don't respect Jason McIntyre, I would respect that take. If he said, Trevor, I don't believe the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl this year because I believe Joe Burrow's resurgence is coming. I believe
the Chargers year.
Even as insane as that sounds, and I'm going to talk about them in a second. But even if just whatever it is, like, give me a follow-up of what it is that you believe. Don't just say Chiefs aren't winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
If you believe the Chiefs aren't winning the Super Bowl, then please give me the team you're picking to win the AFC over them or beat them in the Super Bowl. It's that simple. If you're willing to make a prediction right now in fucking June 1st, this was actually back in May, but let's say right now today, if you're saying the Chiefs aren't winning the Super Bowl, give me the team, give me the reason they're going to beat the Chiefs or beat the Chiefs, take over the AFC or whatever the case is, and win the Super Bowl or beat them in the Super Bowl. If it's an NFC team, tell me why that team's beating them in the Super Bowl. Because at this point, man, as much as I said that it's not insane to think the Chiefs can't win or another team can't win the Super Bowl, we now have a position, Trevor, where we can sit here and say it's all right to say the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl. Does that make sense? Like, it's almost like a right now because they've done it so many times in the last 5 years.
On a balance of probabilities.
Right.
I think our odds should be number one if we're being honest with ourselves. And the 49ers being first is hilarious. But yes, the fact that anybody speaking in absolutes, I immediately I block them out. We don't speak in absolutes. That's just not how we do, especially when you're trying to make a prediction. You can't speak in absolutes when you're already just vocalizing your ignorance right off the top. So, I mean, this was about McIntyre. This is his whole shtick.
He's not the only one. The way he put
wrong.
that, I had to put the clip out there because the way he put it.
Of course.
And then it was funny. It's the same episode later on in the show. Former Chief quarterback Chase Daniel, who's now a really good analyst, by the way, for NFL
I enjoy his content. Yeah.
Yeah, he was on the show and he was saying that it's crazy for anybody to think the Chiefs can't win the Super Bowl this year. And McIntyre was like, oh,
Oh, he's talking to a real football player. Oh, I gotta.
Change my whole tune, save you. Like, yeah, I mean, it's not even Chase McIntyre believes that.
Yeah,
he's going to change his tune by the time the season starts.
Of course,
he'll probably even have the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And he'll probably have them lose.
We all know the only prediction that matters is Peter Schrager. So let's be real right now.
The man knows the shit.
Yeah, man.
But like I said, I respect other fans' opinions. Chiefs fans that have the Chiefs not winning the Super Bowl this year. Because Trevor. Think about how insane it is to think that the Chiefs could legitimately win 3 straight Super Bowls. No one has ever done that before. So it's not crazy to say they won't do it. But to sit here and say they can't do it, that's where I have a problem. Especially when you're not giving me something to back that up.
I mean, I personally love it because this is just, you know how I am, dude. Just more bullets on board. You know, how Nick is. Just add it to the board.
Yeah.
Like, this is what we need. I low-key think he's a Chiefs fan. I low-key think McIntyre's a Chiefs fan. He continues to find ways to give us bulletin board material because he knows that is just fuel every single time. So keep it coming, man. I love it.
And I will say this. I will give McIntyre credit on this. He did say their schedule is brutal. Go look back at the last 4 or 5 schedules the Chiefs have had and tell me which one wasn't brutal.
That is such a noob take, though.
Exactly.
How many times have we talked about on this show, or how many times we see it every year in, year out? The teams change, some teams fall off, teams underperform, teams fall off, coaches get fired midseason because of terrible performances, and we thought they were going to be great because the expectations were high. This happens every single season. Underdog teams and divisions make a run. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, oh my goodness, bro. Like, and a lot of the teams in these schedules that we're going to be facing, those divisions alone are tough with like the Bengals, and the Ravens, all of them. They eat each other up throughout the season. So, I mean, why should we, as a Chiefs defending champs, back-to-back defending champs, be worried about these teams that are going to, they're going to have to face us too? That's the thing that gets me the most with these takes, is talking about the Chiefs having a tough schedule when these teams have to face the defending champs.
Right.
Not the other way around.
Right.
They have to face us. We're not facing these tough teams that have yet to prove shit. We're the ones that are the back-to-back champs, and we've gone through these gauntlet of schedules in the past couple seasons already. So this narrative is just so trash.
Well, and wouldn't you agree that the Chiefs right now are playing with house money because of the fact that they've just won back-to-back titles?
Of course.
They have
underwhelming rosters.
They have one of the youngest rosters in the NFL,
especially defensively. Yeah.
And you look at all these opponents in the AFC side of things, the pressure is going to be on them.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the Bengals right now.
Yeah. We're the team to beat. They gotta beat us. They gotta take our crown, bro.
Joe Burrow's contract's now kicking in. His new extension's kicking in.
Yep.
T. Higgins and Jamar Chase aren't showing up to OTAs. They both want to get paid, and Jamar's going to get paid, and T. Higgins will not. Because Danny Parkins had a great point on First Things First yesterday, where he showed that the last 5 players that the Bengals have franchise tag, they have not paid. So T. Higgins is gone. I think they're going to trade him. I think he's played his last game as a Bengal.
And Hendrickson too, right?
Hendrickson requested a trade. I don't know if that's going to happen or not.
I mean,
they're in disarray right now.
Internal turmoil going on over there.
And Joe Burrow, again, has been hurt a lot in his career, to where now the injury-prone tag can be applicably applied. I do believe that.
He's growing out the locks to distract everybody from the actual situation that's going on over there.
He looks so much like Kristen Wiig on MacGruber. It's hilarious, dude. But anyway, so you look at them. The pressure's going to be on the Bengals because this is also year 5 for Burrow and Zach Taylor.
This is
what has history said?
Yeah.
If a coaching quarterback duo don't win a Super Bowl within the first 5 years, they never win one.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pressure.
Even the great Drew Brees situation in New Orleans, that had to happen too.
Yes, exactly. Right? Yeah, right. It was year 4 when they had 5, whatever it was, when they did that. The point is, yes, there are going to be some other good teams in the AFC, but look at the Ravens. They're going to have a new DC, and the DC's like 31 years old. They've lost key players on both sides of the ball. There's, Lamar Jackson's losing weight, and he thinks that's a good idea in the NFL. There's a lot of questions about the Ravens too. I think they'll be a good team.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of questions about them as well, and they have a very tough, division as well, with all the questions that you got in the AFC North.
Yeah.
The other top dog, the Bills. I mean, you just lost Stephon Diggs. People want to downplay that. I'm not going to, because until Stephon Diggs showed up in Buffalo, Josh Allen was not a good quarterback.
Right, man.
So it's going to be really interesting to see him with a bunch of ragtags. 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 might become some.
Yeah.
I like 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺.
And they have one of the better tight end tandems, I believe, in the league too, with Knox and Kincaid too.
Yeah, but unless you have a Travis Kelce, I don't necessarily like the idea of your best receiving option being your tight end.
Yeah.
Unless you have like an all-time great, maybe Kincaid turns into that.
Kincaid's a stud, bro.
But unless you have a proven bona fide Hall of Fame tight end, I don't like that being your best option.
No,
You know what I mean? When you have Curtis Samuel, who's a good piece, I would have liked to have gotten Curtis Samuel. He's more like a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. At this point of his career.
But the Bills, man, it is what the narrative continues for me to be. Their greatest asset is also their biggest strength is also their biggest weakness in their quarterback. Because they live and die by the sword that is Josh Allen's arm. Because the decision making can be detrimental in a negative way for that team a lot of times.
And they've lost so many good defensive players.
Yep.
Their head coach is in Al-Qaeda. There's just a lot of questions that this team's going to have. There's a lot of pressure. And that's why I keep looking at this. I'm basically looking for a reason, Trevor, to convince myself to agree with this notion that, the Chiefs can't win it. When you look at the rest of the AFC, just look at the AFC. I'm not even talking about the NFC yet.
Well,
look at the AFC playoff picture right now as the assumed teams, and tell me that team has what it takes right now to dethrone the Chiefs the way currently constructed.
Well, I'll say this. I think when it comes to McIntyre and other guys of his similar ilk, these sensationalist type talking heads on TV, it's good television, man. It's boring television to go on there and to say, oh, yeah, I think the Chiefs are going to do it again. I mean, no one wants to really hear that, especially anyone outside of the Chiefs' kingdom. Obviously, we agree with the people that think the Chiefs have the best odds to do it again. But that's boring TV. And if for talking reasons and get people talking about the show like we're doing right now,
Right.
it's still fun to talk about whether regardless if I believe this or not. But I do believe this. It's just a sensational topic to go against the grain. To break the monotony and say, the Chiefs are still they still have the best coach to quarterback, combination. They still have the best tight end in football. They still, have the best odds in my personal opinion. That's boring TV, right? It's more fun to go against the Chiefs. It was more fun to go against the Patriots and say this is the last year Tom Brady's playing. That narrative was fun, right? And it got good ratings and all that, and so forth. So I get why these people continue to do this. Whether they actually believe it or not is a different question. But it's fun, bro. Like I'm gonna say is like it's fun being the team that everyone wants to fall.
Hell yeah.
It's fun. Like some people, some fan bases don't like it because they get very triggered by, oh, what are you talking about? We're the champs. I love it. I love when people are talking shit on us. They want us to fail because that means you're doing something right, man. So being in this situation, I'm smelling the roses every single time. As long as we can keep this run alive, bro, I'm enjoying being the one that, they're shooting arrows up at. So I'm all for it. I think this is fun, and I think that's what McIntyre is doing, in my personal opinion.
Shout out to the chat. Seeing a lot of people active today. Julia Gooley, good to have you back. Omar obviously is doing his thing. Ruben DeCruz is back. I love that. James T. Kirk, our guy Dustin, of course. A lot of people in the chat, man. I really appreciate you guys.
I've been highlighting their comments for the most part.
Yeah,
so.
We really appreciate you guys being in here. And I want to give one final point on this, Trevor. We're going to get to another topic before we get to the people. The biggest. I posted this last week, and we almost did a show last week for this one particular topic. And I was like, you know what, we can hold off on it because it created quite a stir, positively, believe it or not, on Facebook, on our Facebook group. When I posted this, there's like 400 some odd shares. Like legitimately, people really like this, and I guess every once in a while I can surprise you guys. But we talk so much about Patrick Mahomes entering his peak and prime years. But what if Andy Reid and Spags are in their prime years too? I think it goes without saying that both Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo were successful coaches before ever coming to Kansas City. But their best seasons, without question, have been in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
And with both coaches now going nowhere, they've both signed long-term deals. I don't know how long Spags is. I'm imagining. I think he's attached to the hip with Andy.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
Yeah, I think Spags is here. I think that they're going to be both here for at least another 5 years. But to me, it's impossible, or it's possible that they're not just holding on to Patrick Mahomes as he begins to play at the peak of his powers with the veteran knowledge he's obtaining with playing the league now 6-7 years, while also being in his physical prime, being 28, 29 years old. This is where his the apex starts to really come to shape. It's possible that all three are at their absolute apex simultaneously. Yep. Now I get it. Andy Reid's in his mid-60s. Spags is in his mid-60s. You don't think that naturally that would be where a coach is like really hitting his stride. But when you think about it, think about it. Bill Belichick won 3 of his 6 Super Bowls in his 60s.
When it comes to life in general, 60s is like the golden years. That's when you're at your wisest and you've had your most experience. These guys are in their flow state right now.
Exactly. Thank you. When you have, and I'm gonna credit their wives real quick because
For sure.
we hear about how Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo's wives are like in full support of these guys continuing their careers. You hear sometimes like the conflict of, I think he should step down now. No, these two women are like unicorns, man. Like they love them. And I'm not saying that women don't support their men. I'm saying that in this situation, a lot of times when you start getting your 60s and 70s, they want you to spend more time at the house and do things like that. You can clearly tell these women are in full support of their husbands pursuing this dynasty they're very much in.
Yeah.
And I think it's a perfect storm of what's happening. I think, Trevor, to kind of tie this whole segment around when it comes to this McIntyre statement and when a lot of people are thinking about how difficult it's going to be for the Chiefs with this brutal schedule and all these unknown commodities and things like that. And these are things I pay attention to as well. But when at the end of the day, I keep looking at it and I'm thinking, it feels like Andy has really hit his stride. Spags just had his best season ever. Literally ever. That was the best season he's ever had as a DC. He just had an historic defense with a bunch of young cats. He's more of a veteran DC. He's
back-to-back
adjusted so much, man. That's why I think he's the greatest DC we've ever seen in the history of the NFL.
It's his argument is there, man.
I mean, you can say like Bill Belichick, guys like that are greater minds.
Sure.
But Bill Belichick hasn't been a DC for the majority of his career, where Spags has been. He has the tenure where Belichick's been a head coach.
Beat Bill Belichick twice.
Yes. Yeah, ironically, yes. And that's the whole point I'm trying to make here is that I feel like if this thing is going to continue the way that it is, I think it's because of the fact that it isn't just Patrick Mahomes being so great and will continue to be great. It's because of the fact that the backing he has from his coaching staff is hitting their stride at the exact same time. And we know that coaching careers usually last longer than player careers. That's a given for successful coaches. My point, though, is I think that you've seen at times coaches start to take off and do things greater than they ever did before when they've learned from their mistakes, they've adjusted to the current game, and they have that dude. And I think that that's what's happening with the Chiefs. We know that the Chiefs are not a stubborn franchise, at least when it comes to on-field stuff. We know that Andy Reid is zigging while everyone else is zagging. He's always creating new things, new wrinkles, new things in his schemes. He brings Steve Spagnuolo to change over the entire culture of his defense. It works to precision with Tyrann Mathieu in place, guys like that, Chris Jones in place. They know how to get the job done, and I think that what's happening now, even in their later years, these contract extensions they signed is signifying to me that they are very comfortable with where they're at, and they have no plans of slowing down anytime soon. So I think, Trevor, right now what the Chiefs have, even with Travis Kelce getting older, Chris Jones is inevitably going to start getting older, some of these other pieces that we love so much and have been cornerstones for this team, I feel that even when they start to drop off, and they will, as sad as it is, it eventually does happen, the bill comes for everybody. As long as Patrick Mahomes is as great as he is, or at least close to it, and Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo are where they're at and who they are, this team is going to continue to be what they are, Trevor, in my opinion. Because those three are the true infrastructure of this franchise. Do I believe that Travis Kelce and Chris Jones are corner pieces on the field? Yes. But I do believe that you can maybe not replace them one for one, but you can continue to win without them when their days are done, as long as those other three pieces are still intact. Do you see it the same way?
Oh, I mean, yeah, man. Like I'm right there lock and step with you on this. Like I think this is, like I said before, like these guys are in these two coaches, just as the mind meld that is Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. I think there's a mind meld between Andy Reid, and granted they're on two different sides of the ball, but the chemistry between the two of them as a personal relationship in their real personal lives as human beings, and then along that comes, infiltrates itself with the coaching realm as well. I think they have a mind meld there going on as well. I think there's a significant amount of trust in both these guys for who they are and their relationship between the two of them, to take care of their priorities and for their jobs and I think Spags has proven himself, man. I've been back-to-back champs. What he's done with this locker room, what he's done with these DBs, these young guys, and what he continues to do. The way we continue to draft, a lot of great valued guys that fall in the drafts. I'm excited to see what they do with this room this year after the L'Jarius Sneed movement and all that. But yeah, man, I'm right there with you, bro. I think the chemistry is there. This could be them peaking at this moment. I mean, if we succeed in a three-peat, I mean that. There's no question if we succeed in this three-peat and this defense is what it was last year, or possibly even better than last year with the L'Jarius Sneed move. And if Chris Jones continues to be who he is after we locked him in, I mean, Spags is going to go down as greatest. I mean, there won't even be a competitor in my mind at that point. I mean, I think Andy Reid will go down as the greatest coach of all time too. If you succeed at a three-peat, I mean, these two guys are going to solidify themselves and the gold standard of what coaching is for their positions and what they do for their professions, man.
Well, and real quick, I want to throw this in here. People talk about, well, if the Chiefs win one more, if they get this three-peat done, don't you think that Andy Reid probably will just sail off into the sunset? No, I don't believe that. Do I believe that about Travis Kelce? Yeah. I think there's a really good chance if the Chiefs win this Super Bowl, they solidify this three-peat. Travis Kelce has 4 Super Bowl championships. Yeah, has all the stats, the postseason records, all that. Yeah. I do think there's I'm not saying it's gonna happen. Yeah, I'm saying that the chances go up significantly, because at that point, at 35 years old,
I ain't gonna lie. If I was Travis Kelce, I'd be done. Three-peat, bro, walk off, dude. That is the most legendary, iconic possible ending to anyone's career ever.
Yeah.
Especially with the significance of a three-peat in the NFL. That is just, it will never probably be ever done again. And that to walk away after that would
That's
be
what
the
I'm saying.
most ideal situation.
And
for
it
any
would
athlete.
also be in the perfect timing too, because if we're assuming Travis Kelce plays a pivotal role in them winning a third straight Super Bowl,
Yeah.
he would own all the postseason records at that point, right? He would beat Jerry Rice in everything.
Yeah.
And what would also happen is, like I said, you look at some of his contemporaries, like Shannon Sharp. He retired at 35 years old. Rob Gronkowski, I think he was 32. You look at Tony Gonzalez played a little bit longer. I think he was 37 when he retired. Jason Witten, 37, 38. Antonio Gates played a little bit longer, but you could tell he was done.
But even Antonio Gates and Tony Gonzalez, they didn't have the tread on their tires that Travis Kelce already does because all these postseason runs.
Right. He's playing like an extra season. He's playing like, over an extra season of football.
Let alone the targets and receptions and the work he's getting in compared to these guys, man. It's crazy.
So I do think that would be more of a possibility. I think honestly, when it comes to coaching, I would get addicted. If I won a third Super Bowl in a row.
Yeah.
As Andy Reid, I have 4 championships, and I have Patrick Mahomes at 29 years old going into 2025. Why the hell would I walk away? Why don't we go for 4 straight?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, yeah, you get addicted to that dopamine hit, especially, the highs and lows. Like last year was the ultimate, example of that.
Yeah.
It was low most of the year last year.
Well, and
all of a sudden we turned it on, and the dopamine hit you get from winning that Super Bowl after going through what we went through last year is the ultimate high, bro.
Well, and look at this. Okay, and look at this team as constructed. Even if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl this year and three-peat, this team doesn't break down.
Just gonna get better.
This isn't like one of those old rosters. Man, this is their last shot.
Yeah,
they better get it done.
Well, especially if Xavier Worthy becomes something special. This is year 1.
That's what Jared Wiley.
You know what I mean? You already know how I feel about Wiley.
Offensive linemen.
Yeah.
The young secondary. There's so many young cats on this team that are going to still be here in 2025 and 2026 that I'm looking at. I'm like, how can I not get excited about this team after this next season? That's what I'm saying. It isn't like this is the last dance. This is not the last dance. They are just getting going in the intermission part, in my opinion. This is the beginning of the intermission of the Patrick Mahomes dynasty.
Yeah.
That's why I told you guys a couple of shows ago. I don't think if the Chiefs win this Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes. Look, I already think he's the greatest of all time. I think if he wins this Super Bowl, though, it shuts everybody up because it's a three-peat. You're even seeing Tom Brady getting intimidated by it. He's trying to downplay it.
Yeah.
But look,
understandably,
I don't think Patrick Mahomes would have to win another Super Bowl to prove himself as the GOAT. I think he'd solidify it if he does that.
Talent-wise, yeah, I don't think.
But I think what happens, Trevor, is I know this sounds nuts, but I said this on other shows. I'll say it on this show as well. If they win this third straight, Patrick has four total. He's 29 years old at that point. I think there's a better chance he wins 7 or more than never wins another one at that point. I really believe that. I think he wins 7 or more in the rest of his career than never winning another one because, again, this team is still so young, so good. His coaching staff is still so great. He's just entering his prime. I think there's a better chance because, again, we have to factor in that Tom Brady took an entire decade off.
That's what I was going to say. There's no way that Patrick Mahomes does that. There's no way 10 years goes by Patrick Mahomes' career he doesn't win a Super Bowl. Or at least makes 2 or 3 more.
That's what I'm saying, man. And if they win those 2 or 3 more,
yeah,
that's 7.
Or one of those 2 or 3. If they make 3 or 3 more appearances, he's going to win one of those at least.
That's what I'm saying, man. And again, we're not seeing it. Maybe that guy will come. Maybe it's a Caleb Williams. Maybe it's one of these guys right now, these young cats we haven't seen
There's
play
always
yet.
another guy.
Yeah. Maybe one of those guys will emerge and become the next dynasty. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? You know what I mean? We don't know yet because 6 years ago, thinking that the Chiefs would be the representation of the NFL sounded nuts.
Yeah.
Maybe the Bears will become that with Caleb Williams.
Definitely.
Or, Drake May takes the Patriots back to the great days. Who knows? Or Jaden Daniels takes the Commanders and does great things. Who knows? Yeah. All I'm saying, though, is what I do know right now is there is nobody right now that I think can keep the Chiefs from doing what they want to do as long as they stay intact. As long as this coaching staff and Patrick Mahomes are together, I think they have to be the favorites to accomplish what they're set out to accomplish every single year. It's just hard. Prove me wrong at that point. You know what I mean? They win this third straight. Sure, I agree with you. Greatest dynasty ever.
Yeah.
And I think Andy Reid is the best coach ever.
Yeah.
I think he's the best coach ever after that point. He may not have as many Super Bowls in total as Bill Belichick, but no one's ever done what he's done. And he would have just as many postseason wins at that point. He'd be closing in on his all-time wins totals, all that stuff.
If we win 3 in a row, I think we change the entire trajectory, not only Chiefs Kingdom, but the NFL. I think the Chiefs will get looked at as the Cowboys did.
Yes.
I think that the Chiefs will be, not saying immediately, But the next 10, 20 years,
Yes.
You know, people like kind of reminisce on the Cowboys
revere
dynasty
them,
and all
yeah.
that. It's still America's team, with the Troy Aikmans and all the big names and the sexiness of it all. And, it being Texas and that's America's team, It's just the Kansas City Chiefs are a Midwest team, we're the heart of America, bro. Like this, if we win 3 in a row and we do something that's never been done and probably never will be done after that fact, this team's going to go down as America's team in the next 10, 20 years, I believe, if we pull this off, bro.
Julia Gully says the 20s belong to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
100% agree with that. Ruben DeCruz says, Lance, you're getting me ready for football, baby. Dude, that's what I'm here to do. Like I've been getting the itch for 2 weeks now. Like Trevor and I have been very much enjoying our off season because we get Sundays. You just kind of wake up and just do whatever you want to do, and it's nice. Don't get me wrong. I have been loving my off Sundays. Been loving them.
Yeah.
But this last Sunday, I was like, dude, I want football
Getting
back.
the itch, man.
I'm so trust me, Ruben. I'm just giving you. I'm exuding what I'm feeling, and I'm glad that you're
I
reciprocating.
do want to highlight one comment here, though.
Go ahead. Yeah.
New guy to the chat, Timmy Hassan, welcome. Hey, I'm a big fan from Nigeria. Shout out Nigeria, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to start watching football the same year Mahomes became the starting QB of the Chiefs, so I consider myself very lucky. He follows that up with, I was wondering, do you have a post-game show? I would love to hear from you guys immediately after each game instead of waiting a whole week. Much love from Nigeria. I don't know if you want to.
Timmy, hey man, first of all, dude, thank you so much for hanging
Shout out
out
to
with
Nigeria,
us.
baby. Let's go.
There's so
man.
many great Chiefs content providers out there for you to hang out with us today. That's beyond humbling. First of all, welcome to the Chiefs Kingdom, dude. I don't even care how you made it to this place. But
Hey, spread our show through Nigeria, baby. Let's go. Tell your friends.
Tell your friends about us. We appreciate you being here, man, and appreciate you being a part of the Chiefs Kingdom. It's a blast. I'm sure you're having a blast. Trevor and I, we grew up in the 90s and early 2000s, so we saw a lot of heartbreak. We're glad you got to avoid all that. You're with us now while the Chiefs are in a dynasty mode. Enjoy it as much as you possibly can, brother. I will warn you, Trevor and I are very honest, very brutally honest. Sometimes we have unpopular opinions. You can ask the chat about that, but we will give you the truth every single time. We don't bullshit you, and we're so glad that you're here. Chat with us as much as you possibly can, brother. We really do appreciate you being here. When it comes to the post-game, we announced before the show, Trevor and I last season did a post-game show directly after games, chatting up the Chiefs with a former defensive lineman for the Chiefs named Von Booker. We are not going to be doing that this year, but our umbrella company, Starcade Media, is going to be doing a post-game show after every single game. So if you go to Starcade Media on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, you will find our brother Shaggy Shane Williams and former Chief Harvey Williams. They will be doing a show after the game. So they're basically just filling in the void. They're just basically going to be replacing us. And it'll probably be even better because those guys are OGs. You're going to be hearing it from an old school perspective. I'm really excited about it. I hope you will be as well. But Timmy, again, thank you for joining us, dude. Thank you for being a part of the show. Everybody in the chat, welcome Timmy, man, because we would very much appreciate him to stick around.
Yeah.
That's what we're here to do, man. So that's awesome.
Yeah, so I just wanted to get that out there.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Nigeria, man. That's what's up.
Julia Gully says, scratching my neck. Y'all got any more of those cheap?
Yeah.
I agree, like, guys. I'm there. Like I think it's weird, Trevor, because like once it starts to get hot outside, like really hot, I'm like, okay, let's skip this. I feel like Adam Sandler and Click. You just want to like fast forward.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get through this hot, gross ass weather. And
It's
let's
always
get to football,
it's always
man.
the last couple of weeks of June that I really start getting that itch, man. I'm like,
here.
oh my goodness.
I'm here.
Preseason's right around the corner, man. Yeah, it's creeping up, man. It's gonna be here before we know it.
James tells Timmy, Lance is usually the more opinionated. Lance is usually the more opinionated, but he's harmless. Thank you for that, James. I appreciate you warming him up to this one, man. But yeah, thank you guys for welcoming Timmy, man. That's so cool. We got a brother here now from across the
love
damn
it.
world, man. That's so cool.
That reach, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, dude, that's cool. Breath of fresh air in the off season where nothing's happening. Matthew Bridgman. Hey, Matt, thanks for coming in, bro.
Yeah, we got new. He's
First
new
time
to the
chatter.
Shout out to Matthew. Everybody, welcome Matthew as
I
well.
appreciate
man.
you guys doing the down to earth, no BS takes, as opposed to the theatrics of over the top personalities, however the fun they be from TV sports folks. Look, man, we try to find a good mix of it. We want to give you guys our authentic takes, but also authentic energy.
Yeah, and we're homegrown, man. We're here. This is our city. This is
we're
our
natives.
metro
Yeah,
area.
we're natives of Kansas City, but we welcome all wherever you guys are living from. How are you guys? I've never been. I don't know, Trevor. I think you agree with me on this, but I won't take words from you if you want to say it differently. I've never been opposed to bandwagon fans.
It's a part of it, man.
Yeah, like
can't avoid
people like I see kids with Steph Curry jerseys in Johnson County out here in Kansas City. I know that kid wasn't a Steph Curry or a Warriors fan 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't a thing. They start winning titles and people follow them. Trevor and I were the biggest Michael Jordan fans growing up. We loved Michael Jordan. We loved Shaq. We loved the winners.
Yeah, we didn't have an
winners.
NBA team, so like we gravitated guys like LeBron. Obviously, I mean I'm a big Luka fan, so I've been rooting for Luka this whole postseason. So I follow the stars when it comes to the NBA. But yeah, man, this is what we do, man. This is what me and Lance grew up doing. The Chiefs is in our DNA. Like literally, man. We grew up watching my grandpa and my dad yell at the TV before we could even really speak. You know what I mean? So this is what we know. This is kind of all we know when it comes to this time of year. Even when it's the off season, we still find things to talk about and go back and forth on and argue over. So this is what we do, man. This is what we love.
Shout out to Dustin. Appreciate the comment, man, as well.
Yeah,
to Matthew, that means a lot, buddy. Michael's going to ask about the NBA Finals. Hold on to that.
Yeah,
we'll
get
to
back.
That.
Absolutely.
I'm really excited about that
Hell
one.
Yeah.
Julia Gooley says, I'm still reeling from that McDonald's DK discussion.
Bro.
Julie, we're not talking about that anymore, damn it.
We do that shit off air.
We've deaded this bad boy. Yeah. I was right, Trevor was wrong.
That one just happened to be caught on air. You guys see the shit we do talk about off the air, man. Like this is if one of us comes on with the black eye, you know why.
If Trevor's in the ER, you know what happened, all right?
I let him win. That's what
Church puts a tombstone where I usually sit. Like, guys,
I'm hosting the Spoken today. Trev Rants. All right, here we go.
Well, that's a good ring to it, But again, guys, the chat's great. Thank you guys so much for joining us, man, with this whole thing. We love hearing from you guys. One other segment I do want to put out there, and we're going to get to you guys. We're going to get to all your questions. So you know what? Start filling them up now. But I think this is a conversation piece you guys will be interested in having a take on as well. So strap in, guys, because as I told you guys, I joined Arrowhead Allies, another show on Starcade Media. We talk nothing but football on there. Highly recommend you guys subscribe to that. It's on Tuesday nights. I joined Shaggy Shane, Clint Switzer, Noah Groniger, our guy Brian B. Shining from Hot 103 Jams, local radio station out here in Kansas City. I love my guy Brian. Him and I always disagree on things. Actually, this was a topic, though, we actually agreed on, believe it or not. And it is, we were talking on the show, a lot of Chiefs stuff, like I said, but Jim Harbaugh came up. And we know this is a hot topic because obviously we know the Chargers have been a talented team that just always seems to underachieve. Well, now it's weird because they've had mediocre coaching but stacked rosters. Now their roster has really gone down from a talent perspective, and now they got this juggernaut head coach. And I had a take on this, and when it comes to Jim Harbaugh, because a lot of people think, it's going to take some years for the Chargers to kind of get their feet underneath them, and then they're going to start winning. I actually see it the other way. Let's go ahead and play the clip, Trevor. But see, that's the reason why I think that if Harbaugh's going to succeed in LA, it has to be immediately. Because of the fact that he got to scout these players, these next two drafts, better than any coach in the NFL right now. He got to scout these guys over the last 4 or 5 years. So he has an understanding of how to build a team quick and to build it cheap. If he doesn't do it within the next 2 to 3 years, guys, it's never going to happen. And it's not just because the Chiefs are still very present. It's because of the fact that even to Jim Harbaugh's own credit, at the NFL level, if you look at his college career, I'm not going to argue with that because everywhere he goes program-wise, he does build it, but it takes time. Even in Michigan, it took 8-9 years for it to really become what it became. When it comes to the NFL side of things, it's the complete opposite. Because if you look back at his 49ers days, he went to the NFC Championship the first 3 years of, if I'm not mistaken, the first 3 years of his coaching career at San Francisco. And that's because that team was ready-made. They just needed a coach like him. But what Jim Harbaugh does is he wears out his welcome. And that is what I think is going to happen because according to what we saw, the reports we had as to why the Spanos family wasn't initially going to sign Jim Harbaugh is because, one, they like to be cheap at head coach. They like to have control of head coach. And three, they were nervous about Jim Harbaugh's personality being too big for the room. So that is something that we're going to have to pay attention to. And that's something I'm going to echo on this show right here. Because I do look, and I went on to compare in this clip. I highly recommend after the show, you guys go watch that episode. We had a great time. We talked to Chiefs former safety Reggie Tung. Had an incredible conversation. Went longer than it should have. But we could have kept talking. We had to finally cut it off because Reggie was so great. But we had a great conversation throughout the show. And this is a part where I continued and I said that I believe that Jim Harbaugh can be compared to Larry Brown, where he's successful everywhere he goes, both college and pro. He wins. But you see, there's always a reason why he moves on from place to place to place. Because like Larry Brown, Jim Harbaugh has this personality that, although is infectious and is something that can be influential, it also wears on people. It really does. I mean, I know the 49ers didn't handle it correctly with Baalke and the way he did things, but we saw the end coming with that whole situation. We saw how volatile Jim Harbaugh's personality was on the sidelines, and that wears on people in the franchise because everyone else has to answer for it. And I think that Jim Harbaugh, the reason why he fits so well in college is because that's almost like it's a welcomed way of going about things where it's about the coach, the fieriness, and he's the program. It isn't about the player, it's about the coach. And that's why it works so well for Jim Harbaugh in college from a long-standing perspective, where he can have these long stretches of success because that's what college is about. At the NFL level, coaches have to handle things a little bit differently because you're talking about grown men. You're talking about men that are making more money than you are. So you have to have a little bit more of a decorum to you about the way you go about coaching a team. And although everything looks to be good right now for Jim Harbaugh, him and the team are vibing right now, it's because this is the honeymoon phase. And I'm not saying that Jim Harbaugh can't succeed. What I said in this clip was, if he's going to do it, it has to be within the next 24 to 48 months. It has to be.
Well, to that point, to put you on the spot a little bit, I don't know if you have an answer to this yet, but do you think he does succeed? Do you think he does turn that team around at least somewhat significantly within, this season or next?
I think the only way he does.
Because I do think so.
I'm glad you're asking this question because I actually do have an answer for it.
Yeah.
I do think he turns this team around.
Yeah.
I think it has to happen. That's what I'm saying. It has to happen right now because he has the advantage, as you heard in the clip.
Compared to what it's been the last few years.
Oh, yeah.
And the blunders coaching-wise. Because that team's been a good team talent-wise. They just had terrible head coaching decisions.
If you look at any team Jim Harbaugh has coached, both collegiate and professional,
yeah,
they are very mentally strong.
Yeah.
And that is something that the Chargers have struggled with. So I do believe that changes.
He demands a locker room for sure.
And this is where Jim Harbaugh is going to get it right, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I believe because, again, he's had the last 3 to 4 years of scouting exclusive rights.
And they drafted draft off this draft too, yeah.
Exactly. I think he could have a couple good, really good drafts, and all of a sudden he's got this young, talented team. The problem for Jim, though,
Brendan
is...
Rice late as hell, too.
Yeah, I'm not over that one yet.
Yeah.
But here's the problem, dude. It's the same problem that Sean Payton has. You chose the worst division to go into. And I'm not saying that as a Chiefs fan. I'm like, F you, you're in the... Guys,
there's some glaring differences in this situation to me.
What I'm saying, though, is that...
Quarterback-wise.
Sean Payton, you would agree, if Sean Payton would have went back to the NFC South or the AFC East, he'd probably have a lot better chance of winning that division.
Took over the Bucs or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
He'd have a much better a chance of getting to the playoffs, hosting home playoff games. Same with Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah.
If Jim Harbaugh went to the Colts, let's say Shane Steichen was never there.
Sure.
What other... Just pick a random team. And then you say, hey, Jim, you got 36 months to turn this shit around.
Or even the Bears.
Yeah. Jim, you got 36 months to turn this thing around. He's doing it.
Yeah.
That team's winning that division. But because of the fact he chose this division, the time is so much more of the essence, as like I said, and it sucks because the Chiefs are so present in this time that he's going to have to try to overcome that, let alone doing it with a young team that he's going to have to develop quickly. Because, again, I don't think if Jim Harbaugh doesn't win the AFC West at least once over the next 3 years, that he's going to be here in 6-7 seasons.
Yeah, you're starting off buried up to your neck. You're just hoping the Chiefs don't put the rest of the dirt over your face.
That's what I'm saying. He's really behind the gun here, man, when it comes to what is expected of him to become. And, again, he has to be a fast developer because that's the only way he does things in the NFL. And people talked about, well, Lance, I had all 11 Chargers fans in my mentions on Twitter this week when it came to this take. Rally
the troops.
Some Charger reporter found this tweet and crushed me for it. And they said that because I was comparing to the 49ers and how that team was ready-made for him.
Yeah.
Oh, no, they weren't. They were 6-10 the year before. The fuck you talking about? Let's go look at that roster real quick, Trevor, shall we?
Bro, when was the last time the Niners had a terrible roster, though?
The 2011 Niners, the team he took over.
Yeah.
His first season as the Niners head coach. These aren't guys he drafted, by the way. I have their ages. 2011 Niners roster. These are some notables. 27-year-old Joe Staley. 28-year-old Frank Gore. 26-year-old Patrick Willis.
Vernon Davis, too.
27-year-old Vernon Davis. 23-year-old Navarro Bowman. 24-year-old Mike Iapati. 27-year-old Ahmad Brooks, 26-year-old Dante Whitner, 24-year-old Michael Crabtree, and yes, 27-year-old Alex Smith. who was a decent quarterback in this league.
Highly touted coming into the NFL, man.
Harbaugh is one hell of a coach.
Yeah.
But that is one hell of a roster to inherit. So this Chargers team, although has a better quarterback situation.
Michigan's one hell of a program to go to coach.
Oh, God, yeah. But, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that 49ers team had a loaded young roster. Sure. All they needed was a good coach. And to his credit, he was the right guy.
Yeah.
They went to 3 straight NFC championships and a Super Bowl and were one bad pass defense away from winning the Super Bowl against his brother. So my point is, if that's going to happen again, Harbaugh's going to have to do it quick because he's not the type of coach that's going to be here in 6, 7, 8 seasons that's like, all right, he's a jolly good fella. Who's got it better than us? Nobody. That shit is not going to fly. If you don't win, if you're not winning playoff games, if you're not winning the division against the Chiefs, if you're not beating them in big moments, these little cliches and fun, every piece of confetti has a different story here. None of that stuff's going to fly in the NFL.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be like, dude, shut the fuck up. This isn't college where you can be quirky and weird and stuff to kids because the kids can't say shit. You're not as in charge in the NFL level as you are at the college level. So if he's going to win, it better be quick.
Yeah, see, but I see it a little differently. I don't see him having success early as him overcoming the Chiefs because we all know that's just not going to happen. I think him being competitive in this division, being the runner-up in this division, and making a good run in the AFC in general, is big. And I think he could make this team into a playoff team immediately.
That's what I'm saying. I think a playoff team is what he can turn them into.
Yeah, I mean, but I think it's unfair to say, the only way he's successful is if he dethrones the Chiefs. I don't think that's the case. I mean, I think that's the mindset he has, and I think him finding a new chip on his shoulder to have a new challenge after being so successful in college and then, coming off the highs of, winning the national championship over there, I think that obviously this brings on a new challenge for him. I think he's the kind of guy that thrives. I think both the Harbaugh brothers thrive off challenges, right?
Right.
So I think this is something for him, and I think they're going to succeed. I think they're going to be a 10-plus win team this season. I do. I think that. I think this is, especially with the division in shambles right now outside of them, I think they're a team that's their trajectory is trending up, and the Raiders and Broncos, in my mind, no matter how much people are going to hype the Raiders for some reason, I don't have any faith in them being a team. Granted, they overachieved in a certain way last year, but having giving us our most embarrassing loss last year, that was their Super Bowl. But I think the Chargers, and regardless of the depth and the lack of talent on their team right now, they have a lot of youngsters on the team. They drafted a lot of guys, and I think they have some good talent as far as what they drafted. But I think the quarterback situation is ideal for Harbaugh. I think he's going to take a lot of pressure off of his quarterback, and I think he's going to let him make decisions when the decisions need to be made. But I think he's going to do Harbaugh football. He's going to be a run-heavy defensive team. But slow the game down in a lot of ways. And I think you can win a lot of games that way, but are you going to overcome and beat the Chiefs that way? No. Because the Chiefs when you run the ball and you try to control the pace of the game, the Chiefs always make you pay in the end, regardless if you're holding a lead into the fourth quarter.
And that's why, real quick, everything you're saying is making total sense, and I actually agree with everything you're saying. My point, and when it comes to what I define success for Jim Harbaugh, is we know that he has Super Bowl aspirations.
Yeah.
Okay, in today's NFL, unless you win your division, you don't get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
How do I know that? Since 2010, 2 teams who didn't win their division made the Super Bowl.
Right.
And both teams were on the NFC side, and both teams had Hall of Fame quarterbacks, and Aaron Rodgers in his prime, and Tom Brady in 2020. And what happened in 2020, Trevor? The Buccaneers had to go on the road 3 times, and all 3 road games had no fans.
Right.
So we're talking about one crazy, weird-ass season where the Chiefs lost all their offensive linemen, and the Bucs didn't have to face a real home crowd, a road crowd.
Yeah.
And then 14, 15 years ago, when that amazing run the Packers had, when Aaron Rodgers just went God mode, those are the last 2 occasions that's happened in the last almost 15 years.
Anomalous. Yeah.
So my point is, when it comes to the success that Jim Harbaugh is striving for, he's going to have to beat the Chiefs for this division for him to get to where he wants to go. That's what I'm saying. Do I believe that's happening? No.
I guess it depends on. I guess it depends. If I'm going to put myself in a Chargers fan's shoes, it feels awful. But if I'm doing that, I think just being competitive with the Chiefs and being within a game or 2 through the division, and maybe winning a playoff game for the Chargers would be an epic step in season 1. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
No way in my mind do I see them dethroning the Chiefs in any way in this division or in a playoff game if we happen to meet. But if they go and they beat the Bengals in a playoff game, or the Bills if they make it, or something like that, or the Ravens, that'd be a fun little matchup between the 2 brothers again. That'd be something like that. If that happens and they happen to win a playoff game and they're the runner up in the AFC West, That's a massive leap in year one for Jim Harbaugh, and I think that's something they could do this season. I believe that much in Jim Harbaugh as a head coach and as a guy that brings a culture, and that's what the Chargers are really, really missing. They've been a cultureless team for a long time, and the only thing close to culture they had was when Phillip Rivers was just the talking piece and just a shit talker on the field and was fun to watch as a competitor, but they still didn't have much of a culture outside of him. So they've been starved and thirsty for a culture over there. I think Jim Harbaugh brings that. And I think that's what's important. And it's just a stability in a culture. So
our guy Lonnie Pyramid, he's at work. He said, "Yo, my guys at work. Hope all is well." #spoken. Lonnie, good to hear from you. We were wondering where the hell you were, man. Glad you're in it. Our lady Julia Gulia said, "Isn't Harbaugh a run-first coach? Because that works well against the Chiefs." Exactly. That's the whole point. Is that yes, he's going to try to bring the same style of offense that he brought from Michigan to the NFL level. And that if you look at run-first offenses in the NFL, they don't primarily have great long-term success, at least for playoff runs.
Unless you got an elite defense.
Yeah, or an all-time great running back.
Which the Chargers do not have. We saw the Titans in 2019.
The 2019 Titans, their offense was led by Derrick Henry, who's one of the greatest running backs of all time. Had himself a great season. They obviously made it because of that. I mean, you saw their run. I think Ryan Tannehill had like 147 passing yards before getting to the AFC Championship in total in their previous two postseason games. So I do expect that Jim Harbaugh is going to try to run the ball. That's going to be really weird, though, because we know that Justin Herbert is a volume passer. So it's going to be it's kind of a conflicting situation where it's all, I'm going to be honest with you, Trevor. I know this sounds nuts right now, but I don't think it'll be nuts in a year or two. Because we know that the next 2 years, Justin Herbert has an ungodly amount of dead cap money.
Yep.
I think year 3 or year 4 of that contract is when they can potentially get out of it, which will be right when he's like 30 years old. If Jim Harbaugh is still here, I do wonder, if he's still in the NFL, I should say.
If he's his guy.
I do wonder, like, depending on their success, but if there's like a conflict between him and Justin Herbert, where Justin Herbert wants to air the ball out a lot because that's what he's accustomed to, and they haven't found that fluctuation yet, I do wonder if Jim's like, you know what, I need to go get me more of a conservative quarterback, more of a, a third down passer.
Bring Matt Ryan out of retirement.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Because the reason he had his greatest success this last season with Michigan is he had a J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
More of a sullen, stoic, quarterback that just kind of threw in between the hash marks, conservative play.
I mean, shit, there was even talks about him trading Herbert during the draft, before the draft.
But again, the problem is they have so much dead cap money they can't.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert, I think
the fact that was a conversation.
I think his dead cap. I think he has like $126 million in the next 2 years in dead cap money.
Yeah.
I just don't think the Chargers would ever do
for
that.
winning jack shit.
Yeah, I mean, but he's so talented, you can't give up on him yet.
He's got an absolute cannon.
He's 25 years old. 25, 26 years old. So I think that Jim right now, his mindset is that we're going to make it work with Justin and we're going to run the ball and he's going to understand.
That should be the mindset
right now. But if it doesn't, I'm just saying, in a couple of years, I know we're way ahead.
We've seen way crazier things happen.
Yeah, sure. I'm just saying, out of desperation, Jim's like, hey, listen, Spanos.
It's me or him.
I've been here 3 years now.
Yeah.
We're not winning like we want to. You guys gave me the reins to do this. I have a quarterback that, although has been talented, I think we now know that he's not a guy that works in my system. So let's go and get a quarterback.
We just saw it with the Broncos, man.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, granted, that was more of a veteran guy and a proven Super Bowl champion, but even then, like, Russ wasn't even safe. If a Super Bowl proven champion isn't safe and arguably MVP caliber player in the NFL in his career isn't safe, Justin Herbert definitely isn't safe, especially when it comes to choosing coaches over players, man.
So. Our guy James said it's a really good point, Lance. Thank you. I actually never thought of it like that. Those young Niners were loaded but rudderless. Exactly.
Right. Those Niners teams were incredible.
And again, bringing up the quarterback situation again.
And that was a different type of football played back then, too. The game has changed.
You saw that Jim Harbaugh was having that success with Alex Smith, who was an ultra-conservative quarterback.
Yeah.
A guy that – and here's another thing. Jim Harbaugh loves having mobile quarterbacks. Justin is, but kind of isn't. He's like kind of like
that. He's so lurchy. He's so lurchy, and he takes a low hit.
He's kind of goofy how he runs. He doesn't like. Yeah. I want to say he is mobile.
He's great at throwing on the run.
Yes,
he's got an
insanely great at throwing. On the run,
yeah.
But like running, like Justin he always seems kind of like blocky. He kind of runs like Gronk. Like
he's tall as shit.
Yeah, he's 6'6".
Yeah.
So like it's hard to evade runs when you're that freaking big, man. Yeah. I mean, it's gonna
be interesting to see, man.
Yeah, I'm really and I wanted to bring this up because I know a lot of Chiefs fans are invested in this because in all respects, man, like there is only one team in this division that I think should even be really revered right now, and it is the Chargers because they just significantly upgraded at head coach.
They earned that respect just by bringing Harbaugh over there, in my opinion.
Now there is another part of this, Trevor. We're gonna get to the questions. Is obviously the time that he was away from the NFL. We know that most coaches, when you're away from the NFL a long period of time, you usually don't come back and have a lot of success. We saw this with John Gruden with the Raiders. We've seen this now potentially with Jim Harbaugh.
Sean Payton.
Do I think that Jim Harbaugh is going to struggle like those two? No, because I think he's a better coach than both of them. But I do believe that it's going to be a challenge for him because when he was in the NFL 10 plus years ago, it wasn't a little bit of a different NFL.
Yeah.
The mentality was a little bit different. It was more defense, run the ball, and I think he's going to try to bring that back, but I don't know, man. We got a lot of time to figure this one out, but I wanted to bring that up because I thought that was a good conversation piece to be had with Jim Harbaugh. We had that in Arrowhead Allies, and I think we're going to continue to have this conversation with them. But Trevor, it is time to get to the people. What are the people asking rather and speaking?
All right, so our guy Justin Orton from the top rope here, keeping Rice through everything, I get it. Keeping Morris through everything, I get it. Why the hell are we keeping a practice squad defensive tackle who will never make the team? I think he's regarding what's his name about the allegations about the dog fighting and all that.
Oh, I mean,
he's probably not going to make the roster if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, I think
depending
he's a Jag.
on what this comes down on.
I think right now he's a Jag. To be honest with you, I didn't even know he was on the roster until they made this announcement.
Yeah, he's a practice squad body in my opinion.
He probably won't make the roster first of all, even if this whole allegation thing never went down. But also you got to remember, guys, that this is a innocent until proven situation, proven guilty situation.
Sure. Yep.
So the Chiefs are going to allow that to, they're going to keep that.
And it's also a touchy subject because of the Michael Vick situation, how polarizing that whole ordeal was.
Who ironically gave Michael Vick another shot.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
But I mean, this isn't Michael Vick we're talking about here.
Right. I'm just saying though that Andy Reid is not. He's not a stranger to controversy when it comes to giving players opportunities to overcome what they've done off the field.
Yeah, seeing the person for their mistakes.
But I guess my biggest comment or response to Dustin's take about Morris is he's talking about Wanya Morris. I don't really care about Wanya Morris' situation. He had some weed and he happened to be on the other side of the state line.
Yeah, that's a slap on the wrist situation. That's not a.
I mean, maybe I sound like a hippie stoner here, guys, but. You guys do understand it's legal in 39 states right now, 40 states.
It grows in the ground.
He happened to be just on the other side of the state line. If he'd just been on the Missouri side, we're not even talking about this. It's to me. I don't think the Chiefs even care. I'm gonna be real with you guys.
It's a non-starter for me.
They probably had a talk with him. Hey, just be careful.
I don't even smoke, and this is a non-starter for me. Like I don't even get it.
I know that some of you guys probably don't dabble in the marijuanas. That's okay. The point though is that. It literally does no harm to anybody. It maybe be a little bit smarter, sure, stay on the other side of the state line, but to me, I really can't even put this in a comparison of the other two situations that are going on because to me those are true crimes.
And the situation with Wanya too is wild because they had it on them, but they weren't intoxicated.
Right.
If they were high and like high as shit and they're driving, and they couldn't pass, certain drug tests or whatever.
Sure.
That's a whole different thing because then you're putting other people at risk possibly because some people don't drive well with it. Some people do drive well with it, but they weren't even intoxicated. They just had it on them. Maybe they're going home to smoke a bowl, bro. Like, who gives a shit?
It's Julie Julia just killing me. That's good. That's a good one, Julie. I like it. I'm deep in the devil's lettuce. Damn right, dude. I'll smoke one with you. Shit. After the show, of course.
I won't because I'll end up on my roof somehow. This is not a good situation.
Mowing the roof.
I'm not good at the weed, guys. Sorry. I'll drink a water.
You're not good at the alcohols either.
It's my birthday this weekend. I'm not even going to partake in that either way.
You guys should see Trevor when he gets drunk. This guy's a prick, man. It's not like he's not an angry drunk. He just becomes like this.
You're going to find out how awesome I am. Very
actually, the scientific method is incorrect. He's that guy. Fucking dick.
Shit. I'm very smart. Julia. I read the encyclopedia. Julia Gulia, Pacheco has lost weight. Could it mean he's opting for speed rather than power? And the jawing between offense and the defense is already on. Good sign?
First of all, I'll answer that second question. Yes, I love the tenacity and intensity at any practice, training camp, whatever. I'm not saying I welcome like fights, but I kind of do. Like because what that tells me is these guys are already like in that mentality of we give a fuck. Like they're not out here just running. All right, let's get this
Competing,
over
baby.
with. Like you're not showing any heart. I would rather you go out there and literally like what Travis Kelce did last season. I'd rather see that than see him out there just not giving a shit and running lazy routes and just trying to get it over with. Like to see a veteran do that, to see young guys do that, I like the tenacity. And if you, I don't know how to say this PC, but like men do this. This is what we do. We get in fights. Yeah. I'm sorry. PC alert, the cancel culture coming after me.
Women do it too.
This is what dudes do. I can only speak from a dude's perspective.
Yeah.
Trevor and I, there were 4 of us boys in our family. We were constantly fighting. But if anybody else fucked with one of our brothers, what we're doing? We're fucking that dude up. So that's how it was. I think this team is so unified that they know that they can have a squabble and then go get pizza 20 minutes later. That's how this thing's going to go. So to answer that, I love it. The first part, Pacheco losing weight. I don't think that's something that's going to be sustained. You notice a lot of guys come into training camp really like a little bit thinner. It's because of the fact it's summertime. They want to meet a certain weight, and they get bonuses if they meet certain weight levels. But as the season draws on, you do less and less practices. As it gets colder, you start eating more hearty foods. You start to gain weight. And so I think that's what they're kind of doing. Is they're just kind of setting his body up for the long run of the season, where he's going to start gaining weight during the season. I don't read too much into where he's going to stay at this weight. I definitely don't think that's going to be the case.
And I also too. I mean, some guys go one way or the other with this, but when he's recovering several injuries last season. Some guys lose weight or some guys gain weight when they sit around too much and they're off their feet. Some guys lose muscle and lean mass. So he might have lost some lean mass just from not being on his feet as much and maybe not training as much this offseason because of those injuries because he's recovering. True. So I think once he gets back into the routine and everything and he starts hitting that weight room again during the OTAs and during training camp, I think we'll see Pacheco. Even if he has a little lighter going into the season, that's fine with me. I mean, the dude's already as fast as shit, so he adds if he's a little bit more aerodynamic when he fights, this season, maybe that's a good thing too. But I think like once the grueling part of the season really gets going, I think we'll see Isaiah Pacheco for what he is, and that's a beast. So, next question from our guy Justin Orton: what do you think it would take for the Bengals to trade us to hit T. Higgins?
I've told you guys from the beginning.
Don't get me aroused now.
Yeah,
don't do this.
Trevor will disagree with me on this. That trade will never happen. I hate talking about absolutes. Trevor said he hates talking about absolutes. The Bengals, the last thing they're ever going to do is help the team that continues to surpass them. And T. Higgins is a wide receiver 1 in waiting. The only reason why T. Higgins hasn't been a wide receiver 1 in Cincinnati is because of 2 reasons: Joe Burrow's injury history and Jamar Chase being there. If Joe Burrow was healthy all the time and Jamar Chase never, let's say they drafted Penei Sewell as opposed to Jamar Chase, T. Higgins would be putting up 1,400 yards a season.
He's a wide receiver 1.
He's unbelievable. And now he has his own history of hamstrings and things like that, but every time he's on the damn field, that man is effective. Yeah. So I don't think that they're going to hand over a 25-year-old phenom receiver who's 6'4".
I would trade Trent McDuffie for him.
We're not doing this, goddammit.
Oh, man.
We're not doing this, goddammit. Trevor's already drunk.
Happy birthday, me.
I don't think it's going to happen. Trevor, you want to answer it? Go ahead. I just don't. If you want to give, okay, if I'm going to give you an answer, it's going to take at least a first-round pick and probably a player or probably multiple early picks. There's no way the Bengals were like, all right, just give us a second and a fifth. That's not happening.
Well, listen, I know this. I know T. Higgins wants out of there. I know a couple other guys want out of there. I think there's a situation going on. I'm not sure why guys would want out of Cincinnati. That's a good spot to be in right now. It's a very competitive team with a great quarterback over there and a really good young and up-and-coming coach, maybe one of the best coaches already in football. So I don't know why he would want out of there. I know obviously money reasons probably makes a lot of sense because Jamar Chase is going to get the bag, and T. Higgins is probably going to get whatever scraps are left if they even figure out a way to keep him there, which I don't see happening. But he is under contract still for this season with them, I believe, so he's got to fulfill that if need be. But if he causes enough of a stir and wants out of there, there's no way, as much as I want him here, there's no way they're trading him to the Chiefs. I don't care what the Chiefs compensate. We are the direct competition for them getting to the mountaintop. Right. They're not going to give an elite talent to us. That just makes no sense. As much as I want to have that dream, at some point I got to wake up from that dream, and I really want T. Higgins and the talent. Maybe if he goes somewhere for a year and fulfills the rest of his contract and they trade him somewhere else, but whoever trades for him is extending his ass.
Right.
So it's probably not going to happen. It would take we would have to give up way too much, probably more than any of the other suitors or any of the other people that are trying to get him would. Just because we're the Chiefs and no one really wants to work with the Chiefs, especially the Bengals. I mean, Jesus Christ, they're our only true real rival right now, if we're being honest. So there's no way that they're really going to trade him to us. But what it would take, man, it would take an absolute haul for us to go get 𝚂𝙺. But I do believe he's going to be somewhere else. Maybe not this season, but next, and he's going to get the bag. And he's well deserved, man. But yeah, him going to the Chiefs is just something I fantasize about sometimes when I'm alone. But that's about it.
We'll leave it
there. Dustin Orton, next question. Stupid question for Speak It. Sweet. What's the best flavor of ice cream? I like these questions. Kind of break them in.
I like mint chocolate chip and anything peanut butter. Those are the two that I have to go with: mint chocolate chip or anything peanut butter.
Yeah, mint and chip is for sure always been my favorite as a kid. I always liked mint, things like that. But also peanut butter cups is always a solid second. And then I'm gonna throw in the tiramisu ice cream from Ben and Jerry's. My goodness, if you guys have, I'm a big tiramisu guy, so that's one of my favorite desserts. Anything cheesecake or tiramisu type of vibe.
As long as it's not the ice cream my grandma gave me for my 5th birthday. I'll be happy with it.
That butter flavor ice cream?
Yep. My grandma, dude, she's a savage. She's 5 years old. Birthday was coming up. She knew I loved ice cream. Obviously, what kid doesn't? And she bought these 3 big scoops of vanilla ice cream. Ever saying happy birthday to me. I took a big bite of it, and my grandma took butter and trolled me, dude. You guys wonder why Trevor and I are so twisted? It's because of our upbringing. These people know how to troll us, man, and they got me good. I was bawling my eyes like a little bitch. And then I got real ice cream after that, but she got me, man. Everyone else dying laughing. I'm over here crying my eyes out because I was so disappointed.
After you vomited 3 times, you're like, oh, here's something sweet, baby.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, here's some mint and chip.
That traumatic event that's going to give you PTSD.
Yeah, here's some mint and chip now. That's why now it's your safety blanket, your favorite flavor.
Like,
fuck, this is amazing. It's better than butter.
When I take a scoop of butter to go cook over, I'm like, fuck.
Now Lance puts butter on everything. All right, next question.
I'll leave that there too.
Julia. Oh shit. Couple seasons ago, and some others, we were skeptical. Or a couple seasons ago, and some others, were skeptical of 𝚂𝙺, but now it seems the narrative around him is changing. Has yours?
No, I'm still critical on 𝚂𝙺 because of the fact that I think he knows better than what he puts out there a lot of times. And there's a lot of questionable calls still to this day where he has guys infielding balls that are within the 10-yard line. The general rule is if a ball's going to bounce within the 10-yard line, you let that shit bounce. Like I've never understood it. He has guys where he's put guys in really bad positions. He has guys that are inbounding the ball that have no business being punt returners. I know that, but we want to defend him because the guys get hurt and things of that nature. But 𝚂𝙺 has a lot of say on how the roster is built, and I just
that's
feel
Andy Reid's right hand man.
Yeah,
bro.
he's the assistant head coach.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of times, you know what it is that 𝚂𝙺 is so great at what he does.
Yeah.
That you hold him to such a high standard that when he does stupid shit, you're like, okay, I would expect that from an idiot. Yeah. I don't expect that from you. You're not an idiot. So why are you acting like one? Like, it's one of those things where somebody who's so smart does something like it's almost like they overthink a situation. I do hold reservations sometimes with 𝚂𝙺, but it's only because of the fact he's so great at what he does that I have almost maybe it's an impossible standard to put on him. I don't know, but I've seen him be great. I've seen the special teams be the best in the NFL for long stretches of time. Yeah. I don't think they are anymore. But, man, from 2013 to 2017, they had the best special teams in football. It's been a struggle to do so, and I hope they bounce back because they very much can because Dave 𝚂𝙺 is still Dave 𝚂𝙺.
Yeah. And I think, too, to his defense a little bit. Granted, it's not really to his defense because he's putting the bodies out there, but some of the guys they've had for him to use for kick returns and punt returns, guys like Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney, in a sense, have just been mistake-prone guys. Yep. And Sky Moore should have never been back there. The last couple seasons when they were using him for a little bit, that was just a crumbling effect. I mean, it just continued to gotten worse as he was. He was just in his own head on a lot of that too. And I think there was just a lot of blind trust with what he could possibly become as a returner, but never really panned out. But I mean, as far as the entire body of work, there's no reason not to trust Dave 𝚂𝙺 and what he does. Next question from my guy, Michael Maldonado. Your thoughts on how the QB situation in Pittsburgh and how it will play out? And this is interesting development, especially the last couple of days.
Sure. I think there's actually more tension there than people want to lead on because of the fact that I think Justin Fields knows he's the better quarterback.
I think the NFL knows that.
That sounds nuts to a lot of people right now because a lot of people don't like Justin Fields. They don't think he's that good. I actually feel I beg to differ. I think he was set up for failure in Chicago. They weren't running an offense that was built for him. I know he had talent. Don't be wrong. The Bears had talented pieces, but they weren't running an offense that was for him. And I felt like they were missing the boat with that. And I think the Eberflus failed Justin Fields. I think he's going to get a real shot here in Pittsburgh because I think he's going to take over by week 8. I think Russell Wilson is terrible. I think Russell Wilson is washed. I will stand by that. I've seen him now multiple seasons with teams that were, I was told, were just a quarterback away from being playoff teams and potential Super Bowl, contenders. And he was the single reason why they were terrible more times than not. Russell Wilson is, at one point, he had his time where his athleticism, the ability to scramble and create and things like that were there. Well, now he's 35 years old. He's an undersized quarterback who's been sacked over 500 times in his career. I think that his mind is still where he wants it to be, but his body is no longer. And he can make a good throw here and there downfield. He's still got the accuracy, but he still tries to play like he's 24 years old. He's no longer that guy. Yeah. And I think that Pittsburgh's going to get sick of it pretty quick. That's why they only signed him to that really small. They only got him on that 1-year deal, that real small deal that they can easily get rid of if they need to. And there's also a reason why they took a mid-round pick and went and got Justin Fields. Yeah. I don't think if they were confident in Russell Wilson, saying, "Look, we got our veteran quarterback. We'll just figure things out with Kenny Pickett. We'll just figure this thing out. We'll adjust as we go." No, they got rid of Kenny Pickett because per his request, and then they went and got Justin Fields. I think they realized that they have a safety valve here, and I think by halfway through the season, because this team is too talented to miss the playoffs as much as they do, and Mike Tomlin is officially going to be on the hot seat eventually. What was this year, 17, 18?
Maybe.
I mean, dude, he's won 3 playoff games in the last 12 years. Yeah. That's not good. And when you're supposed to be this highly touted coach, the pressure's going to be on. A Steelers organization like that, as stable as they've been, they're going to start wanting results. And I think that if you come out the gate 2-4, 2-5 with a roster like this that is as talented as it is, and your quarterback's playing like dog shit, like I'm expecting Russell to play like, you have the fans are going to be clamoring. Put in Justin Fields. And I think by the halfway point of the season, you're going to see Justin Fields take over.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think this is Justin Fields' team. I think that's why they brought him here, because he's still so young and he has so much talent. The guy is, I think he's the best running quarterback in football when he's actually out there running. I mean, I think he proved that. I know we can talk about Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. I get it, but this guy, when he's running the ball, there's not a better quarterback running the ball with his size and his speed and his agility, because he's much bigger frame than Lamar is. Obviously, Josh Allen's insane situationally, but on a consistent level, I don't think there's a better running quarterback than him. So I think Justin Fields is, I'm a truther. He was my favorite quarterback coming into that draft, even over Trevor Lawrence. So I still love and believe in the talent of what he is. And we saw it even in spurts last year. And granted, that very inconsistent game plans in Chicago last year, but man, when he was hot, my God, he was having all-time games, especially when they brought over some other players there. But they dealt with a lot of injuries too, guys in and out of the lineup. Just a lot of inconsistency over there. But Chicago's in a good position now with Caleb Williams. But I think this is a great situation for Pittsburgh, honestly, to have a guy with a lot of upside. Because Kenny Pickett was very limited, not only because of his size and hand size and just overall decision making. But I think the Steelers did a smart thing here by bringing in a savvy veteran, a guy that they can maybe win some games with. But if he falters, you have the young, high upside stud behind him that can take your team to the next level. As long as the Steelers can stay healthy, that roster is really, really good, especially defensively too. But they're just a team that continues to get banged up, and you lose guys like T.J. Watt consistently in big times of the season. That's tough. But if he can stay healthy and they can build around Justin Fields, that team can make some noise in that division again, because they won games last year. They probably shouldn't have won that division, with a lot of guys out. So, Mason Rudolph was out there winning games, so that was crazy enough as it was. So they can find a way to succeed, and I think Justin Fields gives them a ton of upside to do that. So I like that, and I think he will be the guy by, I think middle of the season for sure. Let's see. Michael Maldonado, once again, when the Rice report of him probably he suspended for half of the season, in my opinion, if it was that I thought it could be around Thanksgiving or post-Thanksgiving of him coming back. Are your thoughts? So basically, when do you think the suspension for Rice is going to be, and when do you think he'll be back?
Yes, we talked about this a little bit on Arrowhead Allies as well, because I know that's still the biggest talking point. Yeah, it's still the biggest talking point is how long is Rashi going to be out? If I was making my guess right now, I think it's going to be 6 to 8 games. Our guy Rich Boldinger, who I respect vehemently, former chief, now as an analyst, he thinks that Rashi's going to be out the entire season. I don't think that's going to be the case, especially now that the tune has kind of changed a little bit with this whole situation at the club where the person is no longer pressing charges, or at least they wanted the charges dropped. I think that is going to look good on Rashi. And he bought like 6-7 Domino's pizzas and brought it out to people. So that somehow all of a sudden makes things better. But in all seriousness, I do think he misses about half the season. And that sucks because he's the best receiver on this team, at least at this point. And he was looking to have a big breakout sophomore season. And I was looking forward to it as well. Hopefully he learns from this. You know, people have asked me, when do you think the suspension is going to come down? I don't think he's going to miss the first 6 to 8 games. I think he's going to miss 6 to 8 games. I didn't say when.
When, yeah.
I think it's what's going to happen is because Goodell's so famous for this shit. It'll be like week 3 or week 4.
Late onset suspension.
Yeah, and I think that the Chiefs will. I think Michael, you'll probably be right, but in a different way than you realized. I do think it'll be probably around Thanksgiving time when he comes back because I think, like I said, I think he'll be gone from like weeks 4 to like week 12. I think that could probably be and that's a large chunk of the season that really sucks.
What would you rather? Would you rather it be the first 6-7 games of the season, 6 to 8 games of the season, or like in the middle of the season?
I'd rather be the first 6.
Okay.
I'd rather the Chiefs have to just get it over with, rip that Band-Aid off, and then get him for the back end of the season, and he has 8-9 games of success, like in succession, to get going for the postseason. Then him to be gone in the middle of the season, then try to regain what he was doing in the regular season, and then because it makes things clunky. When you miss like the middle part of the season, I think it just makes things clunky for the offense. We know the Chiefs are an offense that gradually learns what they are.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea, and in fact, I'm hoping I'm wrong. I hope that Roger Goodell, like today, announces that they're suspending him for the first 6 to 8 games.
Or it could. They could wait on his trial. They could wait till a conviction comes down too, and then that could be like our guys at All Chiefed Up said. They could. Maybe not get his suspension at all this season because of the
I
trial.
think that's hopeful. I think that's hopeful thinking though, and I told Mike,
sure.
I told Mike and Steven this, and I respect their opinion very much so because they could be right, but sure, I'm hung up whenever I think about the Rashi situation. I'm talking about the first one, the on the highway, which I think is still the biggest portion of his suspension.
Right.
I keep thinking about what happened just before that with Henry Ruggs every time.
Yeah.
The NFL knows that they have to make an example out of Rashi because they really can't make one out of Henry because he was in the hands of the legal system.
Well, and there was fatalities involved.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was no longer in their jurisdiction. The law had him.
Yeah.
So when it comes to Rashi, the civil side of things, they're going to get all that figured out, and the legal side's going to let him go, and then it becomes the NFL's problem. And the NFL's going, we had a 22-year-old star, first-round pick, literally kill a lady and her dog, driving like an idiot on a residential road, and then we have this guy who's alive, and everyone else is alive, but could have very well killed himself and everybody else. We're going to come down on him hard. I think that, I hate to say this, guys, I know it's an unpopular opinion. I actually agree with the NFL.
Yeah.
I think they should come down on Rashi hard.
Yeah, there should be consequences.
I think, and I'll be real with you guys, I want him to get suspended this season.
How else is he going to learn from his actions?
Yes, I don't want this to drag on into next year because I think that, honestly, that might be a way for Rashi not really learn his lesson. If he gets a whole season where he gets still play a pivotal role, like, I don't know if he's going to learn. I want him to learn from this.
Yeah.
So as much as shitty as it is to say, he plays stupid games, you get stupid, prizes, man. Like, I want him to get suspended this season. I want it to get over with, but I also want him to fucking learn from this because he could have very well killed some people, man, including himself.
Yeah. Yep. So let's see. Our guy, James T. Kirk in the chat. What's up, my guy? First question. This rugby player has looked good in these workouts. Will he make the team? I think it's pretty clear he's making the team.
I think he'll be a special teamer.
They're already talking about him doing kickoff.
Yeah, I think he'll be a special teamer.
Yeah.
I'm not going to put a lot of expectation. In fact, I'm putting 0 expectations on him. But I do believe the Chiefs are really fond of the kid. And I do think they see something in him that they can work and mold. And I don't think they're going to bring him here. And unless he just absolutely sucks, that he doesn't make the team.
It's better than bringing in Olympians that never played football before in their life.
The Bills want to be the Chiefs so bad, man. It's so funny. They want to be the Chiefs so bad. But I think that he's got talent. He's so raw. This isn't just a game you just pick up. Unless you're an NBA player, but that's just me. And I think that he's going to have a learning curve, and I think they're going to be patient with him. I don't think they're expecting him to become a starting offensive player. I don't think that's ever going to be the case. I think at best he becomes what's his face from the Saints. The
quarterback.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. Number 7.
Oh my God.
I can't believe we're drawing a blank.
I'm not gonna. Taysom Hill.
Thank you.
I fucking love that guy, by the way.
I think at best.
I love that. If he can become Taysom Hill, I'll take that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. At best, that's what he becomes. But let's be real.
Granted, he's a freak athlete. He's huge
is a
too.
gimmicky player. He does like gimmicky
He's
stuff.
Awesome.
And that would be great if that's what
Football
Saban
player.
becomes. But I think realistically, he's a special teamer. I think that a guy that does some cool kick stuff and goes and makes a tackle on a kickoff return.
If he could become
things like that.
80% of what Taysom Hill is, I'll fucking take that.
Thank
bro.
you. Yeah, Chiefs Kelsey said the same thing. Taysom Hill. Thank you.
Hell yeah. Okay. Next question from our guy James T. Kirk. Some of us saw the White House celebration yesterday. Any thoughts about the experience? I did not see it, to be honest. I saw clips, but
that was funny. Biden put on the helmet. That was funny.
I ain't gonna lie, dude.
That was funny. I saw somebody on Twitter say when running backs turn 27 years old. That was funny.
God damn.
That was funny. That was funny.
Or Kelsey's like, the my fellow Americans, bro. That was fucking hilarious.
I thought overall the vibe was good.
Yeah,
I felt bad for Harry in the back though. That was really sucked.
Oh, getting a little hairy back there.
Harry in the back. You could tell he was really struggling. Didn't want to be there.
Either way, man, I love the recognition. It's always fun to be
it's
the
always
team
fun.
that's going to the White House. It
Hell
means,
yeah.
it means you're doing something right. So we got one from our guy, Noah John Marshall.
That's a hell of a name, man.
Shout out to Noah John Marshall in the chat.
Are you hold on real quick? Are you a sheriff? I'm Sheriff Noah John Marshall.
Have you seen this boy?
And I will kick your shit. Like I can see like a commercial. I approve this message. Fuck you. Noah John Marshall, what's up, dude?
Speak it. Do you trust Veach to let Creed and Trey walk and replace them with 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙳𝙴, a second and third round pick next year? I say yes.
Look, man, those are big shoes to fill. That's actually a really good question.
Yeah, it is a good question.
I appreciate that. Noah John Marshall with a badass name, Sheriff. I don't think that's going to happen though. I do think that Veach has shown us that he can draft it at offensive line. The thing about it though is what's the question I always ask her when it comes to the contract? Do I think the guy is better at his job than Brett Veach, or do I think Brett Veach is better at his job than the guy? I think it's very debatable that Creed and Trey are just as good at their jobs as Brett Veach is at his. So when it comes to guys that are kind of in that, like, I don't know, I think that more than likely you do pay him. And here's the best part, guys. The Chiefs won't have to break the bank on these guys because they play center and guard. I know the market's going up. I get that. But center and guards aren't making Trent Williams money. So you're not going to have to pay, Trent McDuffie or Creed Humphrey $30 million this year.
Yeah.
You're not going to pay Trey Smith $28 million. It'll probably be $28 million total. For
I don't
both
think
of
Creed's
them.
going anywhere.
Yeah, I think per year you're paying these guys $25 to $30 million combined. I think that's what you're going to see, and I do believe that because of the fact that Trey Smith has been such a success as a 6th-round pick who had a first-round grade, never been injured, played every game he started every single game of his career. Him and Creed have played every game together, side by side. They've helped you win 3 Super Bowls, or 2 Super Bowls, I'm sorry, about to be 3 probably.
Been a key component to our success. Man.
They're both in their mid-20s. Like, if one of them was like 31 and the other one was like 29, I'd be like, probably time to move off. They're both. I think Creed's 25. I think Trey's 24, 25.
Extremely healthy.
Yeah, man. I don't see the reason why you'd want to take that risk right in the heart of this dynasty. Maybe Norzad becomes something. Maybe Benson becomes something. Maybe. But I don't like maybes protecting Patrick Mahomes. I like sure things, especially when they're in the prime of their careers and lives. I say keep Creed Humphrey. I say pay Trey Smith. I've been consistent on this, and I think I'll stay consistent on this.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Next question, my guy James C. Kirk. Final question. Please put this Austin Rivers debate to bed. That's still going on. Is Austin jealous of the NFL tough guy reputation?
Austin Rivers isn't jealous of anything.
Austin Rivers
Guys, let me make something abundantly clear. NBA players are the greatest athletes in the world. I do not care what you say. You cannot teach 6'5" to 7'3", 250 to 300 pounds, who can shoot 28 feet out, dribble like a point guard as a center, and rebound, jump the way these guys do.
Play both sides of the ball.
I'm sorry. We talk football here almost exclusively. So you guys know that we love football and football players. We reverence the athletic ability. But there is a different level of athleticism. And I can break it down for you guys. The one example I'll give you is the one example everybody continues to give, but they don't understand what they're doing when they actually do it. Everybody keeps talking about how Charlie Ward made the NBA, right? He was a Heisman Trophy winner, and he made the NBA. Do you guys know that Charlie Ward was a career backup point guard? And he won the Heisman. So he was at the peak of football prowess in college.
Could he make this?
It was and now, congratulations to him. He made the NBA. That's a great athlete. Charlie Ward, that's amazing. And he two-pieced Kobe Bryant. But the point I'm trying to make, though, guys, is that at his apex as an NBA player, he was a backup. As his apex in football career, he was the best there was in college. That's the point I'm trying to make here, guys. So the one example you can come up with, that's your only example.
And the majority of the best tight ends in NFL history all were basketball players.
Trevor, there are 5 that I researched this last week. 5 NFL Hall of Famers who played college basketball. 5 that didn't play in the NFL. Made the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Like this, we're not doing this debate. Austin Rivers was right.
Yeah. He bodied all the
people off.
James Jones and all them.
Oh my
dudes.
God.
Horrible.
It pissed people off. And then they come out, then they're like on ad hominem attacks on Austin Rivers as if this guy was the number 1 recruit in out of high school.
Just because he's a daddy's boy, they try to make the whole.
Yeah.
Austin Rivers was an absolute stud in college.
Played
bro.
12 years in the NBA.
Yeah. Made more money than all these guys that are bitching at him too, which is hilarious. And I love that take, man.
And he's 20. Was he 31, 32 years old
He's
right now?
dropping facts.
And now he's an analyst. He's already made tons of money.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to prove himself to anybody. What he said was factual. Did it feel disrespectful when he said like 30 guys? Yes, because I don't necessarily agree with that. The 30 NBA players can just jump in the NBA, but there are at least a handful.
Yeah.
There are at least Anthony Edwards, Dort, LeBron James in his prime. There's several guys in the NBA
LeBron James right now could go be one of the top tight ends in football right now.
It's not even debatable,
like,
man.
And that's not a downgrade. That's just shows you the level of athleticism that these guys in the NBA have, man. Being that size, speed, and strength capabilities, and the ability to leap and do all these things that these guys do is crazy,
right?
Bro. And they play both sides of the ball, and they're running up and down the floor consistently. They don't take breaks in between playing defense and offense. This isn't to
take away from what the NFL demands of these athletes.
Yeah.
What you have to do in the NFL is you are the 1% of the 1%. But again, when you are look at the way it goes. Most guys like look at the picture that they just took with Anthony Edwards and Micah Parsons. Anthony Edwards is a point guard / shooting guard, right? He's standing next to Micah Parsons, who's one of the scariest men in the NFL, and he's bigger than him.
Mm-hmm. He's out here getting buckets in the Western Conference Finals,
and he's one of the smaller guys on the floor. He's one of the smaller guys, and he's as big as Micah Parsons. Like, this is what I'm trying to tell. There's another level of athleticism.
the guy that all quarterbacks fear in the NFL.
Yeah, it's another level. I'm sorry. I know this. It makes some people upset, but guys, it's just the facts. You don't have to like the NBA to admit to accept this. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
Some athletes are just better than other athletes, and guys, the top athlete in the world are basketball
and
players.
at the end of the day, the argument was, more NBA players can transition to the NFL and make the NFL than rather the NFL players coming in being a skilled NBA player and making an NBA roster.
Right. And to James T's Kirk, I'm not arguing the basketball players aren't better athletes, but they're not showing up on the gridiron being dominant. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that
it's not that simple.
Anthony Edwards is going to go take his basketball shoes off and say, "Hey, anybody got any cleats? I'm going to go dominate in the NFL." No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if you were to take a handful of NBA players and a handful of NFL players and switch them in their professions, train them up, I guarantee you the NBA players going to the NFL succeed far more than the NFL players in the NBA. I guarantee it.
I don't think it's
not even debatable.
Yeah, it's not debatable. Shout out to looks like a new guy in our chat. I'm not sure I've seen him before, but Dakota Gear. Sorry, howdy, brother. Just wanted to.
I know Dakota. That's a guy I know in the medical field. Shout out to Dakota. What's up, bro?
Okay.
Good to see you, man.
Nice.
I was asking him, he's North or South Dakota. Are you doing good? Or he's North Dakota today?
The Dakotas.
Give us the North Dakota, baby.
He's Dakota fluid.
Yeah, baby.
Last question though. We got from our guy Malcolm. I want to save this one for last.
Yeah.
Because this is a segment itself. Michael Maldonado, predictions for the NBA Finals.
Yes. Trevor, go ahead.
All right. So my brain is telling me the Celtics. My gut is telling me the Mavs. I'm obviously rooting for the Mavs. Outside of the Lakers, I was rooting for the Mavs in the entire postseason, and the run that they've been on has been incredible, and the gauntlet of talent that they've went through, let alone defeating the 1 seed in the OKC Thunder, was impressive as it is. And then obviously beating the Wolves, who the Wolves obviously went through the defending championship Nuggets. So that was a very impressive series to almost damn near sweep the Wolves. Was crazy. It took the Wolves' best performance possible to even squeak out one game against this Mavs team. This Mavs team is on another level right now, and I think they're a problem. If just the Celtics have to win, though. The Celtics have to win this finals. If they don't win, they're not going to win one this year. This is the opportunity after opportunity for this loaded roster. This is by far probably the best talented team they've had since Jason Tatum has been their guy. They're loaded with depth. The Porzingis should be back and ready by the time the finals kick off because they have 6 days in between, 5 days now before the series even starts. My prediction is the Celtics win this in 7. I think it's going to be a hard-fought, chippy series. Both these teams are chippy teams. The Celtics are the best three-point shooting team in the league. Really good defensive team on top of that as well. Have maybe the best on-ball defender in Jrue Holiday. But the difference here is, especially if Porzingis is unhealthy and goes out again in this series, that's where things change for me. If Porzingis can go, that's a big game changer because that adds not only length and ability to to spread the floor entirely and have a good shooter at the top. 7 foot plus shooter at the top of Porzingis, that changes the game for them. And his defensive prowess at defending the rim as well against guys like Gafford and Lively. But I love what Jason Kidd has done with this team. He has a lot of versatile length, a lot of versatile bigs that can run the floor, and the alley-oops have been insane with Kyrie and Luka running the floor and go. The fact that they force you to double team them when they have the ball in isolation, but they know how to find their guys too. They had all the backdoor cuts, and as I said, what Jason Kidd is doing with this team is magical. You can just see the mind of Jason Kidd's point guard mentality has really infiltrated this offense, and it's just everybody's moving without the ball, and what they're doing is special. But the depth and the talent of the Celtics is far superior in my mind. That doesn't always matter because matchups definitely make fights. I'm rooting for the Mavs, but I'm picking the Celtics in 7.
Who's got the better head coach in this matchup?
The Mavericks.
Who has the best overall player in this matchup?
The Mavericks have the 2 best players in this series.
Who has had the more proven, tougher road?
The Mavericks, without question. I know, man, but I'm saying this is the Celtics' time. The Mavericks and the young Luka Doncic, are they going to and Kyrie Irving with his experience and Kyrie Irving's lack of ability to beat the Celtics, is that going to come into play too? But then again, he didn't have Luka Doncic by his side to go beat these Celtics either. But yeah, all signs point toward the Mavericks, man. They're the hotter team right now, for sure.
I cannot, in my mind, bet against what Luka Doncic is doing.
I agree.
What I just saw him do in Minnesota in a game,
best player in the world.
That was Minnesota's biggest basketball game since 2004. And he went in there and looked like Steph Curry in a Slovenian body.
He had 9 triple-doubles in this postseason.
And I know that I'm simplifying because I'm just talking about Luka. But he single-handedly won that game for them.
He's the best player in the world. I've been saying it for months. He's the best player in the world, man. I've been saying it all year.
I can't even put into words how magical that was. Like he was hitting everything. It was beautiful. It was beautiful basketball. And this Kyrie Irving resurgence, it's almost like this was meant to happen. I'm not one of those guys. You guys know I don't believe in fate and all that stuff, but this bad blood that and it was on Kyrie, by the way.
And it's got to be the Celtics he faces too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he started this shit by, I hope you guys will keep me around, and then asks for a trade like 6 months later. Yeah, Kyrie had a lot of growing up to do.
He's had to reinvent himself.
I think he's grown up, and I think he's focused on proving something, which is I can win without LeBron James. Now, granted, he's still winning with white LeBron James.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's finally admitted he knows he needs to take the back seat to somebody who's superior to him.
But what I'm saying is everything you're saying about the Celtics makes so much sense. But this is what the Celtics do.
Yep.
The Celtics will prop themselves up as this team, like, oh, how do you bet against them? They're so deep. Yeah. You know, all this is going so well. The thing about the Celtics this season in particular, Trevor, is they have yet to be challenged. Every team they faced in the postseason had at least one star hurt.
Yeah, and the Bucks fell apart. I mean, they have
I mean, they think about it like
Pacers fell apart.
This is the easiest path I've ever seen a team have. Now, this isn't a one-off year. Obviously, the Celtics have been to 5 of the last 7 Eastern Conference Finals, so they're a proven entity. But
this is the best team they've had in their entire run.
Yes, even though Jason Tatum has more playoff experience than Luka Doncic. I don't trust Jason Tatum more than I trust. And Jason Tatum is a great player.
Yeah.
A great player.
Jaylen Brown's a great player.
Superstar, yes. Jaylen Brown is a great player. And Porzingis coming back will be huge.
Jrue Holiday, Derek White.
But here's the problem. We don't know what Porzingis you're getting back because he has a leg injury. It's a real thing dudes.
That's the linchpin for me.
Yeah.
If he's out there and he plays healthy, I'm picking the Celtics in 7. But if he's out there, like, gets hurt in game 1 or comes back game 2, gets hurt again, I will change my tune. Obviously, I think the Mavs will win.
And the Mavericks have something that I think the Celtics don't. They have the ability to beat you in the paint. The Celtics are a 3-point only team. They shot more threes than anybody ever.
Yeah.
More than the Warriors of their heyday. They shoot threes all the time. So if they're cold for a night, the Mavericks are going to whoop their ass.
Yeah.
And another thing is the Mavericks are 6-1 on the road this year. It doesn't matter who has home court advantage in the series. It does not matter. I think the Celtics can beat them multiple times in Boston. And here's another thing we know about Boston over the last couple of years. They're 500 at home in the postseason. I'm picking the Celtics. I'm picking the Mavericks to win this in 6. I think the Mavericks win the first 2 games of the series.
You think they take both Boston games?
I think they take both Boston games. And then I think Boston comes back. What have we seen in the postseason this whole time? Where, oh my God, they're up 2-0, it's over. And then a team wins one, and then wins another. I think that they can trade blows 2-2 or 2-0, 2-0. And then the Mavericks win 2 straight. It's like 2-0, 2-0, 2-0. I'm being dead serious, man. I think this Mavericks team is the worst nightmare for the Celtics team. They're the worst nightmare for them. And again, this is giving credit to the Celtics for what they've been able to do over the last 5-6 years, but they always seem to find a way to succumb to the pressure.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's going to happen again, because that's why I asked the question initially, who's got the better head coach? Who's got the better overall player? Who's more resilient and more proven to go get into the finals? I go with that team. Yeah. I go with that team that shows me, unless it's GOAT James, and you guys know I think LeBron's the greatest ever. Unless it's him against something like that, I'm not betting against this. You know what I mean? Like I'm going with the Mavericks, and I'm going with them confidently in this.
Yeah, and I think Luka's on a he's on a warpath right now where he's trying to prove to everyone right now that he's the best player in the world.
Without question.
And I think he's been doing that this whole postseason. The dude, he's been insane. He's got 9 triple doubles. And 3 of those triple doubles were 30-point triple doubles.
I would like to see him get a little bit better on the defensive side before
He's been pretty good, man.
Yeah, but you know that you do realize that in all 6 of his seasons in the NBA, the Mavericks' defensive rating is like 19 points higher without him on the court. They've never had a season with the defensive rating better with him on than off. So he does have a struggle on the defensive side still. I think he is getting better.
He's been better as a one-on-one defender for sure.
You notice that they do remember they were like doing when they were doing the switch ups, like they're doing the pick and rolls.
Well,
they'd always get Luka on the pick and roll.
This postseason run in particular, he's been a little banged up too. His knee hasn't been right this whole time. So I mean, at the same time, I think it makes sense because he does so much on the offensive side too.
True.
You got to take he's got to get some breathers on the other side. But yeah, man, this is going to be a fun Clash of the Titans series. I cannot wait. I wish it started tonight. Honestly, that'd be a great birthday gift this weekend for me. But
that sucks. We got UFC to watch too.
No, that's true. That's true. But I mean, man, I'm so ready for this. Me and Lance have been watching a lot of these games in the postseason. Man, this I don't know how you all hate on the NBA Finals or the NBA playoffs. It's been an absolute blast, especially seeing a lot of these young new faces kind of really, stake their talents into this league and who they are. And this league is in great hands moving forward, man, with the Shais and the Lukas and the Ant-Man, all these guys, man. Even Jokic still ain't going away. He's still a young man. This has been an incredibly entertaining. And I thought when LeBron got knocked out, who knows how the rest of the postseason is going to go, because it's been so weird not having Steph and LeBron. But it's been extremely fun to watch. Right. High pace, high scoring, just intense, chippy series. But I'll tell you this, I'm putting money on the Mavs to win. I'm putting my money on it for sure. That's the team I'm betting on. But my mind is telling me the Celtics have to go win this one. My guts to all 100% with the Mavs.
I think the Celtics right now are like 6.5-point favorites in a home game.
I'll put 100.
Hammer the Mavericks.
I might put 100 on the Mavs tonight.
Hammer the Mavericks. Yeah. Before we get to the final segment of the night, I do want to get to our final question from our guy Noah John Marshall. Out of respect for the fact there's a new guy, and I'm so glad he's jumping in on our chat. Keep doing that, brother. We really do appreciate it. His last question was, and I think this is a good one. Can Wentz carry KC to the playoffs if MV Pat misses like 6-8 games? Okay, this is what I'm going to tell you. Do I believe if Patrick was missed that length of time and Carson Wentz was their quarterback all 6 to 8 games?
I don't like having this conversation, by the way.
Do I believe the Chiefs would be a playoff team? Yes. But do I believe it would be Carson Wentz that's carrying them? No. Because you have to understand, I've gone on record and said this, that Carson Wentz is the best backup quarterback in the league right now.
It was a great move.
Dude, he should be a starting quarterback in this league.
Yeah.
He should start for 12, 13 teams right now.
Yeah.
He's better than 10 starters right now. He has mental lapses, but his talent, oh, give me a break. This dude is a great quarterback.
And I think a lot of those mental lapses started when he started, racking up the injuries.
Yes.
I think that really got into his psyche.
100%.
Because we all knew who the hell he was.
He was the MVP that year.
He was insane.
Yes. And what I will say is, no, he will not carry them. He will play in the system that Andy Reid will draw. He will play a very Alex Smithian type of offense. Very conservative, don't turn the ball over, and the defense will carry the load. This team would still win 9-10 games if Patrick was to miss 6 to 8 games. The difference between Patrick and Carson, though, is Patrick is going to win you 6 to 8 games. He's going to carry the offense. He'll carry you to victories. That's the difference. But I do believe the Chiefs could make the playoffs with Carson Wentz because they made the playoffs without Smith.
And I will say, too, like in comparison to the guys we've had in the past, Carson Wentz is capable of having off-script plays.
Yeah.
Too. A guy that can extend drives with his legs and always had incredible accuracy on the run, throwing the ball on the run. So outside of guys like, Chad Henne and guys that are more statues back there, just delivering the ball to the guys. Carson Wentz is one of those guys that can go out and make plays with his feet too.
Is he? And he's John Marshall said, should I should have said, is he good enough? Yeah, I do think he's good enough. Like I said, I think that Carson Wentz should be a starter in this league. He's better than Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
Yes, he is better than Gardner Minshew. He's
close.
better than the Panthers' young quarterback Bryce Young. I can Aiden O'Connell. He's better than Aiden O'Connell.
Not fair to Bryce Young in the moment.
I know.
I get it.
I think he's better than Russell Wilson. I would take him over Russell Wilson right now if I was starting a team, without question. From an age perspective,
if you know both of them can stay healthy, I'd probably take Carson.
Carson Wentz is 6'6", 240 pounds.
Yeah, he got
with
a cannon,
rocket arm. Yeah, give me. If I have the right coach, oh, dude.
Well, I mean, he couldn't have landed in a better spot.
That's what I'm saying, man. Yeah. So yes, to answer your question as candidly as I can, the Chiefs would be a playoff team with Carson Wentz if Patrick Mahomes was to miss that length of time. But I don't think that's going to happen. It will not happen, and we're going to be in good hands with Patrick Mahomes for the foreseeable future. That's all we have here for Speak It, guys. This has been freaking incredible. Awesome show. We didn't even need a guest, and we still climbed over 2 hours of content. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. But, Trevor, we have one more order of business to get to. What is it called?
Hold this L.
Each and every episode, we finish off every single episode with a series of L's in the world of sports. Whether those L's are friendly L's or not so friendly L's in the world of sports, we promise you, who's ever holding the L's in the world of sports deserve those L's in the world of sports. Trevor Toodle, who's holding the L for you this week?
All right, so I'm going to keep it within the NBA. I don't know if y'all saw the news. I know the 76ers season underwhelmed. Joel Embiid obviously not being healthy once again. Tyrese Maxey being an absolute damn near superstar at this point. The guy is becoming an incredible player. But they fell short once again, right? And they're still missing a piece that they traded away not too long ago by the name of Jimmy Butler when they decided to, go with other players to fulfill, and they didn't want to pay him the max. But now all of a sudden there are rumors rumbling between the ownership of the Sixers and Jimmy Butler now that the whole "we miss you" narrative is kind of coming around. I don't know if you guys have seen the reports about the 76ers are basically in regret mode, and they regret letting him go, and now they're willing to. Paul George is another guy that they're trying to go after. Obviously, I think a lot of teams are going to be going after Paul George this offseason, but the number one target for the Celtics has been reported that they want to bring back Jimmy Butler and give him the super max. I don't know if you've seen this, but this is a basic, the one that got away, the ex that got away. We're sorry. Here's a box of chocolates and some flowers. And now they're trying to reel back Jimmy Butler into the mix for this, which I 100%, if Jimmy Butler makes it back to Philadelphia, that's massive.
Oh, yeah.
For the Eastern Conference, that's a massive shakeup because he's still very much at the top of his game, in my opinion, if he can stay healthy. But him and Embiid both are guys that just can't stay healthy through the postseason. This all depends on if the Heat are going to pay Jimmy Butler, which they damn near they should.
Well, then again, he's 34.
True, but he's still. Jimmy Butler's still one of the best players in the NBA.
Sure.
One of the, if not the best two-way player. He's right up there with the best two-way players. The guy's still a great defender. Is still very clutch. The guy has had incredible runs in the postseason. The guy that can lead a team, and if you put him on a team with Joel Embiid, and we've seen it before, that team was fun. That team was very the chemistry and camaraderie between those two guys, the personalities meshed really well. They should have never let him walk. They should have never let him leave Philly. That was a great combo over there. Now they're desperate to bring him back, and they're wanting to give him a max contract at this time of his career when they've let a handful of seasons go by when they should never let that happen. So for the desperation of that is the 76ers at this point trying to get the X back, the one that got away, and Jimmy Butler do me a solid favor and hold this hell.
Real quick, our guy Noah John Marshall, just want to put this out here. Yeah, it's not for gloat. I'm not that kind of guy, Trev, but he did say.
Okay, this is Lance's burner, by the way.
He said, Lance has great takes on KC. The hate by suck-up losers is embarrassing. People just want fluffy rainbows. You guys force us to think, and I respect it. Thank you, Noah.
He follows that up. Fuck you, Lance.
Yeah.
Also, your takes are shit. Also, he follows that up with, as a Suns fan, it's great to recall we drafted Ayton over Luka. LOL, my God. Hey, I'm a Sacramento Kings fan.
Marvin Bagley.
We drafted Marvin fucking Bagley, who's no longer in the NBA. At least DeAndre Ayton is still very much an NBA player. Marvin Bagley may be on a G League roster somewhere right now, but yeah. And we didn't draft Marvin Bagley because we thought he was better than Luka. We just didn't draft Luka because Vlade Divac's dumbass didn't like his dad. Personal family feuds is why we didn't draft him. And so at least you've had some success as a Suns fan. I mean, you've had some letdowns, but at least you've had some playoff runs. That was fun to enjoy. My team continues to eat shit because we could have arguably the best player, in my mind, the best player in basketball.
I have Luka Doncic when you have Marvin Bagley.
So I feel your pain, Noah John, to another even extra degree. So I feel you. But we move on. The show goes on.
So I want to, first of all, this has been a W that I have been waiting for so fucking long. And it's finally here. I don't know if you guys have heard the news, but let's go ahead and put that up there, Trevor, my W.
Gotcha.
Angel Hernandez is gone. Angel Hernandez, the devil himself,
Tommy Lee Jones,
has finally left the building. He's retired. I like how they're putting it that he retired when the MLB got rid of him. They paid him off. They said, dude, we can't do this anymore. I think last season he only umped like 10 games.
He got refired.
And he still found a way to be like the most hated umpire of the entire MLB. It's so funny, man, how this all worked out. I'm beyond myself happy right now. I don't know if you guys heard or not, but when they were putting together the tribute movie Ray for Ray Charles, Angel Hernandez actually auditioned and said he'd play the role for free, seeing how it wouldn't require much acting for him as a fellow blind man. So I just thought that was really cool that they didn't accept his audition, but I'm so happy that the MLB will not have to deal with Angel Hernandez anymore. Enjoy the offseason forever, sumbitch. You're gone, and we're happy for this.
That's an L and a W and a 1.
I'm so sorry. Old as L, bitch. My L is going to go to a guy that I think thinks he's better than what he actually is, and I can't imagine how he's feeling right now when it comes to watching these finals. Let's go and throw up that first reel, Trevor. Kyle Kuzma rejected a trade to the Mavericks because he felt they weren't true contenders.
He plays for the Wizards.
The second reel. Kuzma himself revealed he turned down a trade to the Mavericks. The two teams had reportedly agreed on the terms for the trade, but he didn't want to go to the Mavs because he didn't feel they were a true contender, and this is where it gets really rich. Quote, in my career, I won a championship, so I understand that when we play this game of basketball, it's not about contending for a playoff spot. It's about contending for an NBA championship. There's only like the 3 or 4 contenders, true contenders. I just feel like our timelines didn't line up, quote unquote. Yeah, your timelines didn't add up because you're not a true contending player. The Mavericks didn't need you, and to be honest with you, quite frankly, they dodged a bullet. And if we're being even more truthful, that ring you got with the Lakers, they carried you to that finals. They carried you to that championship, bud. You were maybe the 7th or 8th best player at best on that team. Not to criticize you too heavily, but when you're sitting here making that big of a oopsie and that big of a whiff on an opportunity to win another ring, and then you want to throw it in their face and say, like, well, as a former champion myself, I can tell you that, like, just stay back. Stay back. Enjoy the offseason. Stay in the Washington Capital District of Columbia area and enjoy that as the Mavericks do this and while we do that, and hold it down. We appreciate it, Kyle Kuzma. We love you so much, and we appreciate your time and effort. I mean, it's just so funny, Trevor. Like the guy himself said, like, I'm a champion. I know what a champion is. Yeah. Go ahead and play that video.
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
Sure about that? You sure you understand what a contender is? You sure about that, Kyle Kuzma?
You sure, Coos?
You sure? You sure, Kuz? Hold this L, bitch.
Hold the
This has
fuck
been a
up.
fun show. Big time fun, man. We've had a lot of laughs.
Shout out to the chat, man.
Yeah, you guys made this thing fun.
Some new peeps in there, man.
We've definitely missed you guys. Like I said, last week was we needed a week to kind of reset. Like I said, wasn't a lot of news going on. We wanted OTAs to develop and kind of give us something, and they definitely did. We had a lot to talk about today. We're going to continue to do that, and I hope that you guys want to stick around because we are going to continue to have great shows here. 269 episodes, man. We're getting closer and closer to 300. This is what we set out for, and we were going to continue to do that, and we appreciate every single one of you. And man, we have fun every single week, and this was one of the more fun weeks, and I can tell that we definitely needed it to re-energize and get this thing back up and going the way it is. Unfortunately, though, as much fun as we've had today, I don't want to be the sap here or bring things down because I know we have a lot of fun. It's Saturday, it's the weekend, you want to have a good time. Trevor and I are, we're going to have a good time for his birthday and things like that. But you also know that we're very transparent people here when it comes to, community, when it comes to what this means to us as people, as individuals. And, Trevor and I, like we talked about the show about how, we're natives here and we've grown up Chiefs fans. And in that time of not just doing the show, but just being fans our whole life, you come to know some really good people. And if you didn't know him or didn't know about it, this week we lost a very dear friend of ours in the Chiefs community, 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙴. Some knew him as the Amish Outlaw. He was a legit Amish person who left the community and became his own person and became Noah. And I had the pleasure of meeting Noah the first time back in 2018. We met initially on social media, and then we met up at in person for the first time out in Lot D, the famous area out there at Arrowhead Stadium. And, I wasn't, him and I weren't best of friends where we talked every single day and things of that nature. We got to hang out quite a bit from 2018 to about 2022. I would say it was like the last time we really hung out. And it was interesting, and not to go too far in depth into it, but Noah was one of those guys he was very introverted by nature, but you could bring out the person in him when you just show who you are. When you're just yourself around him, he starts to kind of spring that out. And I think those are the more genuine people on this planet. Not to say that, extroverts like myself are genuine, but we give so much of ourselves so quickly that you kind of feel like we can either be very overbearing too quickly or you kind of lose interest in us. Whereas people like Noah, you always want to learn more about him. You always wanted to get to know more about him. And the more you got to know him, the more you realize how good-hearted of a person he was, how sweet, how considerate he was, how real he was, how genuine he was, not as just a Chiefs fan, but as a guy, as a dude, as a person. And if you're on social media and you know any Chiefs fans, you'll see it. You'll see the pictures, you'll see the stories, you'll see all of that of what kind of human being he was. And I can't put it into words better than anybody else has. I'm not going to try to recreate it. I'm not going to try to make it sound any better. All I can tell you guys is the last time I saw Noah, him and I had this little back and forth on Facebook for quite a while. And it was during the chaotic times, during like COVID and things of that nature. And I was at Arrowhead Stadium. It was one of the earlier games of the season of 2022. And I saw him from a distance, and I was so excited to see him. We hadn't talked very much over the last couple of weeks, but I walked right up to him and I gave him this big old hug. And he was a big dude, bigger than me. He had these big old mitts, and he could kill me if he wanted to. That guy was huge. And I just remember just bear hugging him. He bear hugged me right back, and we both just at the same time said, "I love you, bro." And that was it. We didn't specify anything. We just knew that was it. Like, we didn't need to say, hey, man, I'm sorry for, getting off track on some of these things we were saying. That was the end of it. I love you, bro. I love you. Because at the end of the day, that's what mattered, was the relationship you had between you and that other person. And, Trevor and I have had our conversations on the show before about mental health and staying strong as a community. Losing people like this is something I'm sick of. I'm honestly sick of it. We're losing too many good people, and we've got to. I know it's easy to say like, "Oh, let's just rally around them. Let's just, let's just do more. Let's do more." Guys, I'm not asking you to do more for everybody. I'm saying let's stay consistent with the people we know are struggling. If you don't know they're struggling, then find out. Get involved in people's worlds. I know there's a lot of superficial things we love. Like, we love to talk football. That's what we do here. But it goes deeper than that. We have got to get to a place where we are finding out the real person inside and what they're struggling with. Because a lot of, especially men, we are so proud. We don't want to talk about what we're struggling with or what's killing us on the inside to the point where we make a decision like this that we can't take back. And I promise you, if you're one right now that's listening to me or watching this that's thinking about taking your own life or doing something like that, I promise you the only people you're going to hurt is everyone else around you. You're going to burden them with a life and a path of pain. You're not going to feel anything after that. You're going to be gone. But everybody else is going to have to carry that. Trevor and I, if you've been around for any length of time, you know that we had a dear family member in our life do this just a couple of years ago. And to this day, we have to carry that on. Is that fair to us? No. And it sucks. So don't do that to anybody else. And I said it in that video back then. I will say it right now. I'll put myself out there. Trevor can do that if he chooses to. We're individuals here. We choose what we do. If you have to reach out, and it comes to you reaching out to me, do it. Reach out to us. If you think that we're close enough, family, friends, whatever, community, whatever, reach out to us and say, I'm struggling, dude. I'm struggling. Like I'm thinking about making a really bad decision. Don't do it. Just reach out to us. I promise you guys, you will not regret living another day. And we want you to. So in that, paying homage to our guy, Noah, I'm going to miss him dearly.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I just want to put out, a memory of mine with him. I met him a couple times at Chiefs games. Like I made a post about him, just a guy that's a big, big teddy bear, just a guy gives great hugs, giant ass hands, giant human being. Everyone who, you've been seeing anybody who's been in the Chiefs kingdom in any kind of these groups or anything on Facebook, and everybody's been posting their pictures and memories and videos. He was a guy that was an observer, but he was also a life of the party kind of guy. He was larger than life kind of guy. And, he didn't really know many enemies. He had run-ins with us and our takes on our show and our group sometimes, but a lot of people don't even know, man. I had numerous conversations with him behind the scenes, and he had my number. He would text me. I was trying to help him on his health journey. He would ask me, he would inbox me about, fitness stuff. He would send me update pictures and stuff. Now, a lot of people, I didn't talk to a lot of people about that, but he was definitely, I was trying to help him behind the scenes in a lot of ways and a lot of times. And, that I love that. That makes me feel wanted, so I loved helping people in that world, in that realm. And even when I was trying to start my clothing company, Nocturnal Native, something that I loved, I was enjoying that process. He was the first person to buy a shirt from me. Yep. And he immediately, when he received it, he posted it online and he was bragging about it, trying to get other people to buy my stuff. And it was just little things like that, man. It's just, that's just who he was. He was a man of the people, he was always trying to help any kind of cause or any kind of charity he can be a part of. When he was the Amish outlaw, he was utilizing that platform he had as any kind of clout that he had for always for good, never negative. He was always doing things for good. So, I only met him a couple of times in person. I know you guys were more close, we had, a lot of conversations online and so on and so forth. But as modern times, man, you can develop relationships with people online, I enjoyed the guy. I enjoyed a lot of the things he posted online. He's a very thoughtful person, a deep person. And I know he felt a lot, obviously. And, we all go through pain in life, and life can be suffering a lot of times, and it's really about finding meaning in that suffering, man. And, some people don't find that meaning, and it's unfortunate. You are wanted, you are valuable in someone's life, whether you know it or not. And, always check on your ones. Like I said, always check on your ones that smile the biggest and laugh the loudest. You never know what people are going through, man, especially if you know that they're going through some personal issues, and reach out if they don't reach out to you. If there's a long extended period of time that goes by and you don't hear from them or anything. If you feel like you need to reach out, if you're thinking about it and they're on your mind, send a gratuitous text, extend gratitude to those people. That's important. People need that. I need that. Every person needs that. No matter how confident or how high on life people are, or no matter what the status is in their life and they're doing good, they're on top of the world, things can linger. Things can be, you never know what people's happiness level or their happiness levels are at. And Noah always portrayed himself as a happy guy a lot of times. And he was, he wore that, and he had a tough exterior, but there were some things going on internally, obviously, that he was dealing with. And, it's unfortunate that we've lost him. And I hate that that's reality, but it is.
Yep.
And if anything, if anybody can take from this is, it's just check on people, check on yourself. First and foremost, you got to you want to be there for someone. You got to bring your best to those people as well. And always know that life is short, but life is beautiful and it's worth living. Right. So, Noah will be missed, man. I'll miss, our sidebar conversations in the DMs or on text messages, just, him kind of just showing who he really was to me as a person and his vulnerabilities. Funny guy, man. Well thought guy, cherished amongst the Chiefs kingdom, but more than that, as an individual, anybody who knew him as an individual more than the Amish outlaw, but anybody who knew him as Noah, it was a pleasure, so
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking that, man, because I just kind of fell into a mess there. But,
no, man, it's the finality of it all is tough, man. That this is, anybody who knows him feels the same way I do, feels the same way you do, bro. You know what I mean? So it's loss is never easy to deal with. So
we want you guys to stick around, man. That's it, And Trevor's right. You got to take care of yourself. That's what I have to do all the time, man. I have to choose to get up off my ass, take care of myself, because how the hell am I going to take care of anybody else if I'm not doing that for me? So you got to do that for yourself as well. We're done with our TED Talk here, but we wanted to, like I said, we had to end the show off the right way, pay homage to a true brother, a large portion of our community. And if we could, before we get out of here, Trevor, let's just go ahead and post that picture of Noah and myself out there at Chiefs, out there at Arrowhead Stadium. This is back in 2019. Noah Kaufman, 44 years old. Love you, brother. That's the episode, Spoken Podcast, episode 269. We will see you guys next week for episode 270.
Later.